Late, 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 late. That's all you people can say. All you care about is the timely delivery of your yum yum streamer treats, you know? You're just like you're treatlers of your own kind, you know that? You've got people who are ordering from Shein and Temu who are upset about the de minimis exception being removed. You know, these little treatlers. Or where's my DoorDash order? Why, it's not fair. Why do the burritos cost $4 more when I order them on DoorDash than when I order them directly from the restaurant? Well, what's a markup? I don't know. Economics works. And you know, you make fun of these people, but then what do you say when I'm 1 minute late? You say late, late, late. You would give me a 1-star review if I was a DoorDash driver for showing up 2 minutes late. I know who you are. Two stars, I'm not a monster. No, okay. Oh man. Dude, my sleep schedule's fucked. It's not even my fault. It's my beautiful partner's fault. I've been doing a bunch of work. I'm getting sympathy bad sleep. It's called being a real lover, not a fighter. As in, I'm not fighting the urge to stay up really late because my partner does. Stop giving money to Israel. Holy shit, I have a bunch of tabs open. Why? It's stressing me out. Vosh, I know you've been saying that now's about time to quit your job, but what if I found a better job that's willing to hire me? Do not ask me for fucking life advice. What is wrong with you? Oh my god. I don't want my name to appear in your fucking suicide note if things go wrong. Make your own decisions. Did Vosh cover the Ted Cruz gaffe? There's not really much to cover, unfortunately. Like, it's funny as fuck, but what are you actually covering there, you know? Happy to hear that, Lexi. It's always did Vosh see and never can Vosh see. You know, no one cares. No one cares about my state of mind. You know? I'm just an archive of past content to these people. Fuck! Oh, I made coffee! Where'd the coffee go? They threw out my coffee. It was a double espresso, so I think they thought it was just foam. How many cups of coffee have you had today? The equivalent of 4 once I'm done with this one. Are you going to cover the mic? Israel PhD drama. What the fuck are you talking about? Please, I need you guys to understand. You never internalize this. I don't see everything you see. There's a test you can do for theory of mind. Let me describe it to you. There's a test you can do for, like, young children. Like 2 or 3 or 4 or something, right? Okay, so a child is observing a scenario, all right? A scenario is that there are 2 people in a room, person A and person B. Person A holds up a teddy bear and puts it in, like, a little drawer. Person B leaves the room. Then, now the plane. Oh my god, the plane. Holy shit, I'm about to be 9/11. 1 second. Let me duck. Let me dodge. All right. There's no way the plane will make it through the window. Okay, so anyway. Person A puts the teddy bear in a drawer, all right? And person B leaves the room. Then, while person B is out of the room, person A moves the teddy bear from the drawer to under the bed, and person B returns. Now the child is asked, having observed the scenario, hey, Where do you think person B will go to get the teddy bear? And a person who's like 4 years old or older, thank you, will say, oh, they would look in the drawer because that's where they last saw the teddy bear being placed. But for like a 2-year-old, they'll say, well, obviously the teddy bear is under the bed. So they'll look under the bed for it. In other words, that 2-year-old is not yet old enough to have a theory of mind for other people. This is what you lack. This is what you lack. People in chat, did you see the blank drama on Twitter? I don't control your eyeballs. I control my own. I have a different set of experiences, understandings, awareness of the world. So object permanence. I gotta say, Word, it's really not looking good for you that you don't understand the purpose of a thought experiment / study that is for 2-year-olds. No, not object permanence. That's not what we're talking about here. That's a different thing. You need an IQ test CAPTCHA that viewers need to take before posting. Dude, having a CAPTCHA for every post you have to make would be such a good, like, / command to put in chat. That would be so fucking good. Oh my god, that would be an amazing... Like, when I just don't want to deal with it. Oh man, that would be good. Fuck. I wonder if I could do that. They talked about that on the Majority Report yesterday, a test before going online at all or seeing a movie. Is it bad that I've been, like, unironically anti-democracy pilling a lot lately? Like, I've been thinking, man, should there actually be a basic history and civics test before you can vote? Like, a really basic one, you know? I don't know. Yeah, I've been feeling pretty Maoist lately. People are like, well, then poor uneducated people couldn't vote. And my thought right now is like, well, then they shouldn't. Maybe they shouldn't then. I don't know. Maybe if you don't know what a democracy and a republic are, like, respectively, and how they relate to each other, I don't know. Well, thank you, Methy, person whose name I'm probably not going to take a shot at pronouncing the entirety of. Some Leninism, maybe? Yeah, well, I don't respect Lenin. He was a hypocrite, you know? At least I'm standing by my principle. Have people take the test before, but don't take away their right to vote if they fail? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Not like, if you fail the test, you can never vote, but more like, there are classes you can... Wouldn't that be cool if, like, in the same way you can go to the DMV to get a driver's test, you can go to, like, a local civics office to get, like, a prep course on basic American civics or whatever, and you can just redo it if you fail? Like, the point here isn't to punish you. It's just, like, you need to know this shit, you know? Remedial voting class. I mean, like, I don't know. I know it can be abused, but right now our system is being abused anyway, to the extent that we even have a system. So, yeah. Would you have people retake it? I mean, if... Oh, you mean like every year to vote? Fuck it, yeah. Fuck you, yes. More suffering. Yeah. Know why? Just to inconvenience people. Who writes the test? Well, that's the thing. The test should be federal, okay? The test should be federal. You're going to have it done state-wise, and you know, you're going to get questions in the Deep South about, like, how much, you know, how many pounds of sugar should be in a cup of tea, or in the Midwest, you get questions on, like, how much mayonnaise should be added to, you know, egg salad. You need, like, a federal standard, for sure. What do you think about Edward Bernstein? Okay, Daniel Green. So we just talked about this. So your mind and my mind are two distinct entities with separate lived experiences. So when you ask me about a thing, I might... I'll just look them up. Sounds vaguely familiar anyway. Oh, this motherfucker. The guy who ripped my mustache. Nah, it sounded a little bit familiar. I don't remember, like, enough about this guy to say anything, though. Sorry. It's been a little while since I've dusted up in my history. I mean, the fact that he's SPD kind of tells you a little bit about what you need to know. How'd your pathway forward work out? Advocated for a gradual parliamentary path to socialism. How do you feel about Luxembourg? Did he... Wait. How long did he live? He lived long enough. You skipped it? Oh. If nothing else, he probably could have had some interesting convos with Luxembourg, right? Oh, the guys that sold the revolution so not to lose their cushy parliamentary jobs. Well, overall, the SPD sucked, yeah, but there were probably some people there who had a little bit more sense. You know, not every member of the SPD was like, you know, I think the Nazis and the KPD are equally damaging to our society. Probably like a few reasonable people there. Yeah, they were always debating or whatever back then. Yeah, they didn't have fucking video games. They did shit. Nowadays, you think like, oh man, my day is full. I have a haircut at 5, you know? Obviously, I need to spend like the preceding 3 hours not doing homework and the following 8 hours before I fall asleep thinking about how I should probably get around to these projects that I have in mind, but not. Then you play 2 hours of video games. Then you make yourself a frozen meal dinner, and then you go to sleep, you know? Back then, they ate slop from city cafeterias. They had nothing to do except fucking debate. So they did. You saw that Trump AI video that was posted last night? You people never learn. Yeah, I saw it. You know what's fucked up? I probably can't play the audio from this without getting copyrighted, even though it's AI. It's the lyrics are edited, but it's similar enough. Look, it's vote as the Reaper. See, now their time has come. Here the power's gone. Russ vote as the Reaper. Russ vote as the Reaper. He wields the pen. Oh, I don't actually know the. Here comes the Reaper. Yeah. Don't know how much I can replicate the fake lyrics. Doesn't know how the song goes. Well, I'm trying to. I don't remember how much it got edited because of the AI. It's a classic song, okay? I do like this bit at the end, though. I like this bit at the end. Blah, 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 blah. I do like this bit at the end. I agree with this one. You can't fault them on that. And then, of course, Dilly 300 meme team. Thank you, Mr. President of the United States of America, for sharing. I'm sure Dilly 300 is ecstatic. I know True Cruel. Dilly 300's thrilled. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How many trees died for this slot? I don't fucking know. You know what people need to do? People need to stop talking about the water consumption for AI. It's pretty minimal. The electricity consumption is apocalyptic. I'm just saying you got to focus on like the thing that matters, right? Everyone talks about the water. It's just like The alfalfa farming, the way we use up the water rights to the Colorado River takes like 8 orders of magnitude more water for no reason away. It's the power that's the issue. Um, isn't like 40% of Oregon's power supply going to AI right now? Isn't the open AI facility they're building going to be the equivalent of New York City and San Diego's power consumption combined? New York City and San Diego. That's insane. New York City probably on its own has more power consumption than most countries. Just for a single facility? Yeah, yeah, for that big like mega plant they're building, the one that's like the size of a city or whatever. Just giant boxes built to waste electricity. As someone in electric and water utilities, the power generation projections are insane. Forecast over the next 5 to 10 years, triple power generation here needed due to this. Well, hey, listen, there is one bit of good news. It's literally not possible to meet these power demands without a bunch of green energy investment. So that's cool. I'm not being facetious. Like obviously this is all evil, but there's literally no way to ramp up coal consumption at to a rate that would meet this need. So we're actually going to like force our hand. They're going to go nuclear. They have to go everything. It can't just be nuclear. These AI plants are coming online faster than nuclear power plants can. We're going to have to like massively expand green energy projects, which is why, by the way, they canceled green energy federal investments in blue states, but not in red states. They want all the facilities to be built in Texas or whatever. Isn't Microsoft trying to reopen the 3 Mile plant? Yeah, which I'm fine with. Just, bad reason to be doing it. Yeah, it's going to be like a lot of solar. So they're trying to do artificial wealth redistribution just from blue states to red states? Well, they're trying to give favorable jobs projects to the red states. You can't actually have long-term wealth redistribution like that, though, because in the long run, if you make a red state a tech hub, you attract educated people, and then it becomes a blue state. So it's like it's been a while since the shift has really happened, but to an extent we've seen this in Texas. Like Texas probably would have gone to Biden were it not for extremely aggressive election meddling from their dictatorial state government back in 2020. Virginia used to be a solid red state. Yeah, but Richmond is a thriving, productive city, so you attract educated people, and invariably it becomes a blue state. Same with Atlanta and Georgia. Are there any other examples of states that have been seeing like a big population boom and like a lot of industry in their one big city that's turning them blue? Texas? Well, no. See, I said other, and I just mentioned Texas. New Mexico. New Mexico, I think, to an extent. Miami. Well, Florida's shifting red, unfortunately. The broader pattern there is in the other direction. Georgia? I said, okay. So when I said any other states, that means states other than the ones I already mentioned. Chat. That's what that means. Sorry, I was switching tabs. I didn't hear you. Have mercy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone's got a damn excuse. White House published a list of enemies, and it's all just Democrats opposing ICE. Yeah, they did this a week ago. It's not new. It's fine. Listen, their Nazi interns have to do something after all, right? Basically, everyone working media for the White House and for the executive branch is a Hitlerite. Did you see this one? It's The Future is Bright. Life after all criminal aliens are deported, and it's literally like a, you know, VHS tape vaporwave thing, and it was made by a Nazi. You've got the Moon Man here, if you know, you know. They have the fucking this is what you were having sex with if you were a Greek warrior or whatever. The girl that the Nazis love to post and say, like, POV, you are a Spartan warrior and your 15-year-old towel boy gives you a look from across the training ground or something. I don't know. That you understand the genre that you might not be online enough to. I might sound insane here. Wait, the moon guy is a Nazi thing? Yes, I don't. It's fine. Well, Nazism isn't fine. But what does Mac Tonight have to do with Nazis? I can't help you with this one. I'm really sorry. Past the point, you just need to know the whole point is the dog whistle. It's remember that analogy used at the start, lol? I'm the streamer. The girl's Gio Scotti and Yes Vosh is not even remotely exaggerating. They're obsessed with her. Yeah, well, all Nazis are gay pedophiles. What do you want? Anyway, yeah. It's just unhinged bullshit every day. We'll see if they actually cut anything during the shutdown. But, like, again, I kind of think they're full of it. You already could have cut people if you wanted. You already had that ability. You could do it a little more easily now. But, like, whatever. It's not anyone stopping you. You're already rehiring people. I saw the ICE commercial they put out during the Chiefs game. It's so unhinged. Is it a new one? How new is it? Are they like debuting a new one? Is it the catch the worst of the worst one?
And tonight they're arrested.
Catch the worst of the worst.
This is the ICE TV spot looking to poach officers from already dwindling ranks here at CPD. The commercial putting a bullseye on City Hall and Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Can I just say that it's a horrible way to...
Here. ICE commercial. Worst of the worst. Let me see. ICE recruitment ad made to lure Denver police officer. Yeah, the whole point is to is to poach police officers, right? They're probably regretting a little bit the fact that all of their ICE agents are fat retards. Like, they probably want people with some degree of training, I imagine.
Hart says
Help us catch the worst of the worst.
Former King County Sheriff John Urquhart says when he saw this ad, he almost spit out his coffee. His first reaction was sarcasm.
I'm not working. Where do I sign up? You know, they've got a good signing bonus, up to $50,000.
Up to.
That's not bad.
Urquhart says ICE's pitch could make staffing shortages worse at the local level.
The sheriff's office, my old department, is down about 100 officers. Seattle police are trying to hire 300, 400, 500 officers in the next few years. They're down as well.
Good luck with that, man. The people here hate cops. You're going to have to pull these people from, like, East Washington. Why does it mute when I... It's the Facebook player. What? It mutes when I... Okay, unmute, hit the play buttons. What the fuck?
Not at full staffing. Last thing we need is more competition.
And he's pushing back on the ad's message that federal immigration agents are the best way to fight crime.
If you want to fight crime, become a community police officer. Serve in your community.
This is actually probably a pretty good thing in the sense that it might build resentment between police leadership and ICE. Like, there are already police staffing shortages all over the country because nobody wants to be a cop. So, any kind of, like, antagonistic rapport there, probably for the best. Man, Seattle's so beautiful. I don't know why it does the muting thing.
ICE is reporting strong interest, though. Over 150,000 applications submitted and roughly 18,000...
Yeah, no shit. There are no requirements to sign up, and you're offering a massive, like, dishonest pay jump right at the beginning. Like, literally, you were putting out videos like, no requirements, you can be 18 years old, you can be 60, we don't fucking care, man. Do you guys see that video of the dipshit ICE officer who, while conducting an arrest, realized that he had dropped his gun? And then he, like, fell to the ground and scrambled to pick it up and then pointed it at the civilians there who weren't doing anything.
Extended since President Trump began his second term. Washington state law bans local law enforcement from enforcing federal immigration laws unless tied to a criminal case. And SPD has previously said it only asks about immigration status when it's directly tied to a criminal case, like human trafficking.
The worst thing that could happen to policing is for the immigrant community, and it doesn't matter whether they're documented or undocumented, is being afraid to contact the police because they think they're going to get deported.
In Seattle, Madison Wade, King 5 News.
Woke cop. There was also this one dude that they fired for throwing a random lady on the ground, but luckily he's back in service. Yeah, there's no standards here. Yeah, here we go. After his fucking magazine ejected, it fell, the gun fell, magazine fell. Everything's falling apart. Here's the video. This segment's getting a little scattered, don't you think? He doesn't have his gun. Dude, look at how close the person they're arresting. Look at how close. Look at how his hand literally touches the gun. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't even know how that happens. Like, he's reaching on his outer hip for the gun, but somehow it fell through the holster rotated around. I don't even understand how. Dove for it. Okay, anyway, sorry. We were talking about the fucking Reaper video. They're really keen on the Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero thing. They've got it in this portrait here, too. No sound? Again, the sound is copyright. It's AI, but it's close enough to Fear the Reaper that it's probably a problem. See, they got him in the... How did they settle on that? Like, why Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero and mustache? It is pretty funny. Yeah, but, like, why? He's brown? Yeah, but is he Mexican? Because I was black. I mean, I know there are black Latinos, but is he Latino? Because Jeffries reacted to it? Yeah, that's pretty much how it works, I suppose. No, Vosh, you're thinking of Dominicans? Don't make that joke. I don't know, man. We'll see if there are any actual cuts. Don't fear the Reaper. What a good song. I'm the first person to have that opinion. Got some UW students chasing down a suspected Nazi. Wait, this shit was at UW? Oh, fuck, it was. I was like, this is my city.
Dude, get out!
This guy ran into the classroom, Psych 210, and started doing Heil Hitlers, and then got chased out by the entire classroom.
Oh shit! Yo, fucking not! Oh. Yo, they're gonna beat his ass.
Nice. The weak should fear the strong. But like, why? Because he wanted to make content out of it. He had his own phone running, and he was recording them. He was calling them degenerates and stuff. You know, he like epically triggered the class or something. It's pretty much exactly what you would expect. At one point he said, "Aren't you the party of peace?" Imagine being a Nazi and running with that line. The like, "Oh, aren't you supposed to be tolerant?" And you're literally a Nazi. Like, it's insane how much use they get out of that one, you know? Why the fuck do I have so many goddamn tabs, dude? Okay, I think we can clear a lot of these tabs by covering the increased ICE militarization. Okay, ICE is going sicko mode. Sorry, it's actually a really, really, really big deal. I probably shouldn't... I shouldn't speak of it in a facetious manner. Yeah, ICE is going haywire right now. Got it in Chicago, got it in Portland. They're really ramping up the militarization. The fact that it's only ICE, though, like it's only DHS, and they aren't being accompanied by like military, I don't know how much the Trump administration is being hampered in their National Guard deployments. State troopers are helping ICE with crowd control in Illinois. Yeah, they kind of have to. They're legally expected to. Well, I shouldn't say they have to. You would expect them to. Might be the easier way to say it. They've really been going for it in Chicago, though. They used a Black Hawk helicopter to do a raid on an apartment building in the South Shore neighborhood.
She says they took everyone and then asked questions later.
They just treated us like we were nothing.
Patricia Fisher said she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 Monday night, only to find ICE agents yelling police.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me did I have any warrants, and I told them no, I didn't.
She said she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released. Citizen-At video shows the chaotic scene overnight. Neighbors tell us there were dozens of ICE agents. Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. And that's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? One of them.
Not here, buddy. Yeah, they used a Black Hawk helicopter and they did this big dick raid on an apartment building. And 37 people arrested. Where is that? Where is that fucking photo of the aftermath? Yeah, there we go. Bunch of really, really nasty stuff coming out from the articles, you know, the testimonials after the event as well. Trying to find it and having a difficult time, unfortunately. They put the black people in one van and the brown people in another. Let me see if I can find that. Chicago, Black Hawk, ICE raid. I asked... Johnson said he was left tied up outside the building for nearly 3 hours before agents finally let him go. I asked agents why they were holding me if I was an American citizen. They said I had to wait until they looked me up. I asked if they had a warrant. I asked for a lawyer. They never brought one. Yeah, all of these raids are illegal. They're not getting warrants for them. We know that for a fact. Absolute shit show. This image? No, I found that. There's something else I'm trying to look for. I don't know what it is. I've like forgotten the thing that I had in mind. They was terrified. The kids was crying. People were screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I see the little girl come around the corner because they were bringing the kids down too. They had them zip tied to each other, Watson said. That's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? We just saw her. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right there. He said, quote, "Fuck them kids." Watson said trucks and military-style vans were used to separate parents from their children. Other neighbors said agents destroyed property to get into the building. They had a big 15-inch chainsaw with a round blade in it cutting this fence down. We're under siege. We're being invaded by our own military. Marley Sanders' boyfriend was detained. They had the black people in one van and the immigrants in another van. Sheesh. Where the fuck is the thing that I'm looking for? There was an acknowledgement by an ICE official, I don't remember at what level, that they were not operating on a probable cause standard. They were acting on a reasonable suspicion standard. Can't wait for the next Dem administration to sign off on a blanket pardon of all these people. Yeah, here we go. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement that DHS law enforcement uses, quote, reasonable suspicion to make arrests, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And blatantly illegal. Not that it seems to make a fucking difference.
You said you identified. What are you going to tell your children? What are you going to tell your children? What are you going to tell your children 10 years from now? He wasn't doing shit. He wasn't doing shit. Fuck, he wasn't doing shit. They didn't touch you at all. They didn't touch you at all. No, this is what you brought here.
See the Sun-Times article? The Sun-Times?
Not that way. Not this way.
See the Sun-Times article?
Not this way.
I did not see the Sun-Times article.
That way. That way. That way.
Is this DHS or military? That's DHS. It's all DHS. They killed a guy recently.
In suburban Chicago, a blood-stained car marking a deadly flashpoint in America's immigration raids. The Department of Homeland Security saying ICE officers in Franklin Park tried stopping a vehicle driven by 38-year-old Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, but say he refused to follow commands and drove his car at law enforcement officers, dragging one a significant distance. ICE saying that officer, who sustained severe injuries, feared for his life, shooting Villegas Gonzalez, who later died at the hospital. DHS describes the individual as a criminal illegal alien with a history of...
I don't believe it, nor should you. They lie about literally everything. They lied when they said he was a criminal as well.
Reckless driving, though a review of Villegas Gonzalez's publicly available records by NBC News found no criminal charges.
Yeah, so they just made up that he has a history of reckless driving. Like, they just made it up whole cloth, you know? This is one of the reasons why it's so important to not capitulate on rhetoric whatsoever, right? Like, the idea that it was bad that ICE did this to a person with no criminal record is itself flawed, because that implies that if a person did have a criminal record, it would be justified to do this, you know? If the Democrats capitulate on this language, there's no reason why hardworking legal immigrants should be treated this way. There's no reason why X should be treated this way unless they've done Y, you know? Well, if the condition is Y, Republicans will just say the Y condition has been met. There shouldn't be a condition, you know? It's like how Democrats barely lifted a finger to do anything about the systemic removal of due process for undocumented immigrants. I mean, they barely talked about it, you know? There were like, you know, internal conversations with the Democrats, minority leader Schumer and other higher ups, where they were essentially like biding their time waiting for U.S. citizens to start getting deported. They were like, well, we don't want to put our necks out defending due process for undocumented immigrants. But once you accept no due process for undocumented immigrants, you accept no due process for anyone. The tweet itself is an essay, but here's the video of them raiding the apartment complex. Oh, joy. Wow, you're no kidding about the essay. That's a whole fucking article put in a tweet. Look at this fucking grandpa, dude. Jesus Christ. He looks like the Whiplash teacher. A little bit, a little bit. Hi. Sorry, man. Black Hawk fucking helicopter. MS-13 tattoos. Is this NYC? Chicago, actually. I don't know if there's going to be a breaking point with ICE. I feel like logically at some point there has to be. I don't know what it would have to be though. I don't, like, if a Kent State happened, obviously every single Republican, you know, if a Kent State happened, it would be more unpopular than the actual Kent State was, because a majority of Americans said it was the students' fault back when the Kent State massacre actually took place. At least now, Democrats would be, like, partisan against it, you know? Remember this channel? Every time I look up anything about ICE on YouTube, every single time, I see this guy and his AI-generated thumbnails. His videos always have an insane number of views, and they're always, like, a bunch of scary black people in AI-generated scenes destroying the city or something. This is why so many Republicans think that cities like Portland are under siege. This is why Carolyn Levitt today in the White House press briefing said that the Trump administration is deploying the military to Portland to save the war-ravaged city, you know? A bunch of Republicans genuinely think that shit is happening.
President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists.
Yeah, shit. I mean, if I was watching videos like this every single day, I would probably also think that Portland was under siege. Look at it, dude. Look, these are literally from the same like AI prompt. These images are almost exactly the same. Illegals wreck downtown Portland, and then illegals assault Chicago Center. It's crazy. Who the fuck is Cash Jordan anyway? Just another what is a failed comedian, right? No. Cash Jordan was doing like interior design reviews, wasn't he? Yeah. What a blank apartment looks like. See, Cash Jordan, like a lot of right-wingers, isn't actually in this for ideology. He just wants to make money. That's it. And for a while, this was like a good way of reliably getting good returns in your YouTube videos. That's why all of this is like from the beginning algo optimized, right? Like the face, the reaction, the everything here is like just designed to maximize your return, you know? The clue is in the name. That is true. The clue is in the name. It has nothing to do with ideology. Is this the 2020s right-wing version of liberal snark BuzzFeed articles in the 2010s? Yes, though liberal snark BuzzFeed articles in the 2010s didn't destroy Western civilization. So in that respect, there is a difference. Exactly why Asmongold doesn't play video games anymore and just talks politics. Yeah, exactly. For these people, it's like ideology is a secondary concern. Asmongold was like a moderate Republican in presentation for a long time, up until it became like the culture war shifted to a point where it was more profitable to be like a hardline administration defending far right winger. You know, why even bother with video games anymore? He was always disgusting. Yes, he was always disgusting. Yes, that is true. This works on people, man. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. We'll see how this big protest in Chicago develops.
West of Chicago, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is on the ground there, visiting the ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois, as hundreds of anti-ICE protesters gather outside. That facility serves as the federal processing hub for what's being called Operation Midway Blitz. Garrett Tenney's there, live now, 30 minutes due west of Chicago. Garrett, hello.
Yeah, Bill, good morning to you. We are now more than a month into these protests outside this ICE facility with hundreds of activists showing up. And today, for the first time, you can see Illinois State Police is here on the ground doing crowd control. And just minutes ago,
putting on gas masks because they know ICE is liable to gas the entire fucking zip code if probed lightly.
Border Patrol agents came out, had some kind of conversation with police in the sheriff's department, and they have been asked to all put on gas masks. You can see them all putting on their gas mask now, so it appears something is imminently about to happen to allow their agents to do
down. That follows the movement of ICE officers. And I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to the protesters as to whether or not, you know, they coordinate this today by the app or some other sort of communication, but is it also likely that they knew that Kristi Noem was coming today and this was a chance for them to show up in big numbers?
Yeah.
Local officials who are so against ICE being in their communities, it's not the police. They're going to do what they're told. It's a paramilitary organization. You want coordination here so that you're not wasting assets and so things don't get out of hand.
In terms of the operation in different American cities, and to our viewers, we're trying to track it as well as we can, and I know it can be very confusing at home. Geographically speaking, the question is this. Washington seems to have gone fairly smooth.
I feel like with the temperature being where it is right now, any one of these protests could turn into like a Kent State situation pretty quickly. Yeah, I saw this. Apple removed ICE tracking apps after being threatened by the Trump administration. Did they not learn from Disney? Not really comparable, I'm afraid. FBI cuts ties with civil rights group Southern Poverty Law Center. Well, don't worry. At least they also cut ties with the ADL. So one hate group and one anti-hate group, you know, ties cut with. It all balances out. Sorry, folks. It's a lot of bad news. It's a lot of bad news. There's never any good news in the US? Not at the exact moment, no. We'll get there eventually. Everything comes around eventually, okay? Long arc of history, etc., etc. Isn't that just the natural state of being a leftist? We have our pick ourselves up moments now and again, okay? Don't be too pessimistic. Didn't you cover soybean farmers yesterday, though? I don't understand the relationship between the point that I made and what you're saying now. I don't understand. What are you talking about? Hello? Yeah, Friendulum, we'll see. Because of the government shutdown, the executive is not releasing the key monthly jobs report. Now, of course, the fact that they're not releasing this is a bullshit convenience to their favor, right? They basically had all the numbers already lined up for the job report, you know? Like, they already had the information that they were looking for. They're choosing not to release it because they don't want to release it. And the reason they don't want to release it is because the last couple of job reports have looked really, 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 really bad. They will eventually work to falsify these numbers more thoroughly, make it so that in the long run, like it gets really murky. It's difficult to know how many people are employed. We all run on like North Korea numbers or whatever. But for right now, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is still kind of like in the ballpark, right? We're still more or less producing correct numbers here. Economists polled by Bloomberg expected that employers added 53,000 jobs last month, fewer than the 64,000 added on average over the past 6 months before revisions. Ah, but what about those revisions? Did you guys hear? We've been losing jobs. Like quite a few of them. This isn't the official jobs report, but according to payroll processing giant ADP, so, you know, kind of like a preemptive data point, 32,000 jobs lost. I think that right now, like hiring data, job availability is as bad as it's been since 2009. You guys perchance remember what the job market was like back in 2009? Look, I was in high school back then. I won't pretend that I was looking for a job at the time, but some of the unks in chat, you might remember how bad it was. Or perhaps you remember your parents, you know, talking about selling you off for money at that time. You know, I don't know. Very, very bad. It was very, very, very bad. And my husband got laid off at that time. It's not good. They tried spinning the numbers. Please, show me. Show me the spin.
Right? Okay. I mean, in the private sector, jobs from ADP, not great. Right? And if you look at the employment reports going back to the spring here, not great either. I mean, you know, May was 19,000 jobs, June 13,000 jobs, July 76,000 jobs, August 22,000 jobs. Pretty slow growth there. Why are jobs lagging?
Well, certainly what we inherited from the Biden administration, we have been working hard in this administration.
Listen, buddy, you can only pull this one so far. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, we're all stupid, okay? Even if you had a good argument, and you don't, all people are going to remember is that right now they're suffering, and it's under your rule. That's it. At the end of the day, that's all you've got. That's all they can do.
With the president putting the American worker first. I mean, that's one of the reasons, John, that I've been out on the road talking to the American workforce, really trying to understand what the needs are. And we've seen the growth in all under indicators. We see that GDP is up. We see that real wages are up. We've seen the blue collar boom. And what I'm also seeing on the ground is a lot of these companies are investing in their workforce, trillions.
Oh, yeah. So far, over the past couple of months, revisions have consistently actually indicated we're losing jobs. The ADP revisions to their payroll estimates. A revision for August showed that rather than 54,000 up, we're 3,000 down. A revision for not just August, didn't July get revised down significantly as well? I know that for September, even before revision, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is saying only 22,000 jobs. And then right now, based on the ADP report, it seems like that number is going down for this past month again. Like, it's really, really bad.
Of dollars. So we're working hard to get the dollars to our respective states. You know, John, the Department of Labor just released $86 million to 14 different states to train the workforce for our welders, for our machinists, for our electricians. We know that we have to grow this economy to build these manufacturing sites. So I've been doing everything I can, but with this government shutdown, it puts everything at a screeching halt. My goal, 1 million active apprentices across this country now is on hold, and that's just something that slows the momentum to grow this economy that we've been working so hard for, to grow those jobs numbers.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, and platinum are outpacing the S&P 500, meaning currency is losing value faster than the economy is blowing up. Well, nobody wants to put their money in, or at least more and more people are trying to put their money in places where they think it'll survive a crash. Yeah, real Great Depression vibes right there. In 1928, there was a big GDP/stock market growth, but unexpectedly large job losses. Also slowdown in construction just before Black Monday 1929 hit. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? The stock market is just a big fucking slot machine where if you already have a lot of money, you're pretty much guaranteed to make more money. As people take money out of like the real economy and put more and more of it into speculative holdings, they're happy as fuck because as far as they're concerned, like more of the money's being siphoned out. But they are still building this this wealth on a very, very fragile foundation. Of course, Black Monday came around and yeah, it's a house of cards.
Look, you said that there's momentum, but construction jobs opening fell in August by the second most in history. The hiring rate the lowest since 2013 outside of COVID. Private sector payrolls plunged in September, as we just said there. Again, and that's all over the last few months, 6 months into the Trump administration. Why is it heading in the wrong direction?
Well, again, all indicators, we have the strongest economy in the world. What we inherited from the Biden administration with all of those revisions.
Do we have the strongest jobs economy in the world? Do we have the strongest jobs economy compared to last year when there were hundreds of thousands of jobs added each month?
Absolutely, because we saw those revisions under the Biden administration. That's why this president has called on the modernization and streamlining of BLS.
It's kind of like that awkward middle ground where you're fascist enough to just brazenly lie about every single empirical data point that you can to the media, but you're not fascist enough to kill the people in media who ask you tough questions. You know what I mean? Like there's an incongruity there, right? Like you have to like follow through on this. If you really want to do the fascism thing, you have to like disappear people who ask you questions like how can you possibly justify your assertion this is Biden's fault when every trend started going down when Trump took office, you know? They're letting it happen.
Understand that we need modern information. We need to have accurate information. That's what the American people are asking for. Listen, John, I'm going to keep leaning in on this economy because we are seeing, with interest rates have gone down. We want people to spend more of their hard-earned dollars. And with this shutdown, Americans aren't going to be able to spend their hard-earned dollars because they're not going to receive a paycheck. And that's unfortunate that we're stopping that. The Democrats need to step up.
Hello, Bagheera. Layoffs reach highest since 2020. Jesus Christ.
But year-to-date job cuts are up 55% from year-ago levels, the highest since 2020. Our next guest says you usually see these numbers during recessions or a period of major disruption, such as the first wave of automation. Joining us now is Andy Challenger, Senior Vice President of outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas. Andy, great to have you with us.
Hello, Diet JD Vance / person who looks vaguely familiar. Person who previously worked for the Washington Post Universe YouTube channel, doing those little political bits. Why do you look familiar to me? He does look a little bit like Sargon. Anyway, what was I saying? What was the point that I was making? Fuck, I forget. Oh yeah, remember, we are objectively in a recession right now. The only reason the data doesn't show that we're in a recession is because of the AI bubble. If you take a look at the entire stock market, except for the AI bubble, like the entire economy, every single company in America, except for the big 8, we're in a recession.
Thanks for having me on.
So it sounds like if you took a look at the numbers, you would think that we're in a recessionary environment, and yet we have the economy here humming along, so to speak, and in some degree. And I'm wondering if you sort of look at this and are puzzled, or does it make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to me from what we've seen in the labor market for quite some time. We've been going through a gradual cooling of the labor market for more than 2 years. It's continuing on that path. We have seen an elevated number of job cut announcements this year. In fact, it's the highest since 2020. The Q3 numbers are the highest that we've seen since 2020. So it's not just the Doge cuts at the beginning of the year, but it's continued throughout this entire year that we've seen this elevated number of layoff announcements. And our perspective in the world, which is talking to companies that are going through layoffs and working with people that have just been laid off, we're expecting to stay quite busy through the end of the year and into next year. And in fact, are preparing for an acceleration.
So in your conversations with companies, Andy, I'm just curious what the stance in general of the companies are, what the mindsets are. Are they laying out their layout plans but not executing yet? Do they intend on executing? What are the sort of reads that you're getting?
Yeah, and I'm biased. I'm only talking to companies that are going through layoffs. Right. So it's my perspective. But we're seeing a lot of companies throughout the year announcing layoffs because of downgraded forecasts internally, that they are worried about economic and market conditions.
Yeah, but again, like the big tell here is that even the companies that are booming right now are doing layoffs. Microsoft announced a huge range of layoffs. Microsoft is doing very well right now. Like that, we're not entering a period where there's a relationship between the evaluation of a company and like how many fucking businesses they hire, which is why cutting rates isn't going to fix this, you know?
Really just in the last couple months, I'm in earnest seeing companies announce job cuts and attaching it to artificial intelligence and the way that's going to be changing their workforce in the coming months and years.
Andy, how does this fit in with what's become a fairly common view, it seems, of the labor market that we're...
This shit's gonna get real bad.
Chicago Fed President Goolsbee on Squawk Box this morning defending the validity of BLS data and the shortcomings of relying just on private sector sources. Joining us here at Post 9 this morning to talk more about it, Goldman Sachs chief economist Jan Hatzius, who normally joins us on Jobs Friday. A little bit different today.
It's a Jobs Friday, except they're not jobs.
Yes. Do you feel like you're flying blind or no? He seems to think that...
Why are they laying people off to look good? No, because you don't make money by having employees who provide a product or service anymore. That's not how you make money. The best way to make money is to have money so that you can leverage it to borrow money and then invest that money and make more money off of that speculation than you have to pay in interest. And then you just keep that debt cycle running forever, which is why like US cumulative debt is so fucking high. That's the best way to make money. What kind of idiot would try to make money these days running a business where you sell products or services? You know, that's insane. Why would you do that? You know what the margins are for like Walmart? Absolutely not. It's also less risky. Like the mathematics that make it possible to borrow and then invest, then borrow, then invest are basically continual, you know, for as long as things hold up. Whereas if you're actually competing in the actual economy with products and services, any number of things could fuck you up, you know? Like you could, oh shit, it turns out there was like a recall because we were using lead paint. Oh shit, we've been undercut by a competitor. Oh shit, there was a supply disruption. The Evergreen crashed again or whatever. It's a Rube's game.
Is still the gold standard.
Oh, for sure. It's a significant handicap. There's definitely less information. And yes, we can use ADP, we can use Homebase, we can use surveys like the ISM and things like that. But it's not the same as having the government data.
Are you thinking about...
Ooh. Yee.
Whether or not the shutdown lasts into the reference week?
It certainly could. I mean, these things are always a little bit hard to predict how long they last, but at the moment, it certainly seems like we're not that close to the end yet. So it may spill into the next month. That's a possibility. We do look, obviously, at the private sector sources and anything else we can get our hands on, and the state unemployment claims that he referred to. But I don't think we have that much information. What we do know is
it's just as a basic German accent, okay? Come on, he doesn't sound that Nazi.
Job growth has decelerated very, very significantly.
I think he sounds nice, personally. Like you know, pleasant. It's not a severe tone of voice.
A significant part of that is reduced immigration, reduced labor force growth. But the labor market is also loosened. And you can see that in the unemployment rate to some degree. But you can see it more, I think, in other indicators, such as the job availability index, you know, jobs plentiful, hard to get, that the Conference Board puts together, and some of the other...
It's worth noting that these economic trends that I've been talking about would have happened with or without Trump. Trump is merely accelerating them. Tariffs are making it even more difficult to make a profit in the traditional, like, goods and services, real economy sense, you know? Cutting rates means that it's even more profitable to just get involved in an infinite cycle of speculation and debt accumulation rather than, like, just building stuff, you know? But this was happening under Biden, too. And this was happening under Obama as well. All of this has been happening for a long time, you know? We've been building up to this one for a very, very long time.
ADP, obviously, also.
As we think about what this means for the Fed's rate path, and as everybody is searching for alternative data to supplant the government data, with the Fed's dual mandate of jobs.
So how do we fix this? Big immediate one would be getting rid of stock buybacks. It would make it much more difficult for companies to coast by on evaluation alone. You know, do something with that fucking money. You know? Yeah, trust busting. There's a lot of stuff, but like we're dealing fundamentally with problems with capitalism, and this has been like building up for decades and decades and decades. It's not just Trump. Actually, it was made much worse under Obama due to the quantitative easing strategy of you know, rebounding the economy. It led to a lot more money in the long run just sort of circulating at the upper end rather than moving around in the real economy. Well, the industrial policy Biden was going to implement would have been a lot better, Kowalski, but it wouldn't have changed the fundamental, like, issue with it being better business in the long run to not do business, you know? This is just, again, it's just a problem with the way we've done capitalism. We have designed a system where indebting yourself to invest usually produces greater returns than actually making anything, you know?
And inflation, is the alternative data better for one versus the other? Will we get a clearer picture, for example, of jobs data from the alternative data versus inflation data, and might that skew some decision making?
Look, I think it's relatively symmetric that we have a decent amount of information about high frequency price moves and changes in.
Would raising rates help so investments are a worse option? Yeah, to an extent. I think the rates should definitely be higher, but I also think there should be like different kinds of rates. Like the it is extremely fucked up. Okay, you know how we inflate the value of the stock market by putting everyone's retirement shit in there? Like we basically chain everyone's future livability to the health of the stock market by just auto investing everything through these brokerages, you know? We do that in a lot of ways. By tying your ability to get like a good mortgage rate on the Fed set interest rate, you create a system where for some reason the Fed is like tweaking two knobs that are two totally different things. You know what I mean? Like, why is the same? You press the same button and it affects how easy it is to buy a house, but also this like complicated macroeconomic system of debt and financial accumulation, the financialization of the economy. Like, I don't know, the mortgaging, like buying a house, that's like a personal, that's like a consumer level economic, it's a transaction, right? It's not macroeconomic at that individual level. There should be ways of like adjusting these two levers independently. I want, for example, you know, and you can do this in a variety of ways. I want it to be easier to buy a house, but I want it to be harder for businesses to borrow money to speculate on. You know, that's not impossible. That can be done. It just takes government policy.
The jobs picture, but not a good picture. So I do think what it probably does do is freeze you in place. I think it has sort of cemented the idea that they have signaled probably will get an October cut. And that is, I think, very likely to happen. And we've been expecting 3 cuts this year, so we're looking for another one in December, although that is more subject, obviously, to what else we learn.
This also comes at a time, Jan, when it feels as if investors have gained some comfort that the softening up of the labor data is not necessarily fully represented.
Mortgage rates follow 10-year Treasury bonds, not Fed rates. Don't those kind of correlate indirectly, though? Yeah, you're right. That is true. Well, wait, is it still 10-year or is it all like 20-year now that everyone's mortgage is like a 50-year loan or whatever? Indirect correlation. Whatever. Separate knobs.
Of the path of GDP, at least in the short term. We've seen this divergence.
Way to out yourself as a fucking homeowner, Tempest.
Can you be confident in that? What do you think the underlying trajectory is for the economy?
Well, for sure, the GDP data.
I have an aunt with a 70-year mortgage. What the fuck? 70-year How is that even possible? The fact that that's legal is incomprehensible to me. Like, genuinely, what the fuck? Do they get her firstborn child after she dies before paying off the? That's insane. You might as well just fucking pay rent at that point.
Better. Yeah. We've been upgraded. We've seen upward revisions to Q2. We've upgraded Q3 to nearly 3%. There are some estimates that are even higher than that. Now, GDP is complicated this year because of.
Should mortgage length be capped then? Yes, I think that's like the fact that we don't is absolutely insane. It's insane to me. And we're allowing it with car loans too. People are getting like 8, 10, 12-year car loans. Yeah, 100%.
The front-loading distortions around tariffs, around imports. So I do think that the economy is growing at a below-trend pace, and on a Q4 to Q4 basis, we're still clearly below 2%, maybe 1.5 or so.
Why would someone ever get a mortgage that long? My brother in Christ, people buy cars off flexible rate loans. Sometimes.
And the labor data, I think, or reinforces the idea that the economy is going through a weaker period. I am always paying attention to labor market numbers that consistently surprise on the downside and are consistently revised down. So I certainly don't want to sound the all clear. With that said, I think there are reasons to believe that 2026 is going to be a little bit firmer. We are getting some tax cuts. We're getting Fed easing. And the tariffs are going to be more in the rearview mirror in terms of the impact on.
How? What? How? What? I disagree with all of these. The idea that the Fed rate easing is going to improve the situation, the idea that tariffs being in the past change. What? No, the fact that the tariffs have been in effect for longer mean that all the companies that bought up stock prior to the tariffs will have exhausted that prior stock and will have to now rely on the tariff rate stock. The lack of the de minimis exception means that, like, there's going to be a continued strangling of businesses that rely on drop shipping, which, you know, is bad for its own reasons, but is still part of the economy. Or like companies that sell like small goods overseas, which aren't all Temu and Shein. Like the long-term consequences. Oh, right. Every single farmer in America will have killed themselves by 2026.
On growth.
I think your forecast on payrolls is pretty consistently better into the second half of next year, right?
Yes, we do expect a pickup. I mean, we've been running at about 30K a month over the last three months, and we think we'll pick up to something above the break-even rate, which I think is probably going to be 50-ish or so in 2026. And under our baseline forecast, the unemployment...
I don't like this guy's analysis. Here, I'll watch one more CNBC video, and then we're done talking about the economy for today.
For more on the market impact, let's turn to David Kelly, Chief Global Strategist at JP Morgan Asset Management. You know, we obviously didn't get the jobs report today, but you were expecting about 60,000 in September. What do you think is the path of least resistance for the market amid this some sort of catalyst void coming from the government?
Yeah, well, it's not quite a void. I mean, admittedly, the government is shut down, but we do have indicator models which we use to forecast these variables. And as you said, we thought that number would be about 60,000. We actually have a lot of private sector indicators which can feed into this. So we can get some sort of sense of where we are. But where we are is an economy which is...
Masaigu, you're not wrong. Yeah, JP Morgan has been a lot more pessimistic. They've been like... They've been adjusting expectations. Some of the shit I hear from like Vanguard or whatever, some of the brokerages and like investment firms, every once in a while, they're like, so guys, here's how to prepare for the future. And some of them are being totally blasé about it. You know, I don't know how much of it you could say is just like an optimism versus pessimism thing. I have no idea. That being said, I will say that Goldman Sachs does sound like a more evil name than JP Morgan. Like JP Morgan sounds a little bit more industrious to me, whereas Goldman Sachs literally sounds like a man with sacks full of gold. Like they really nailed that one as a caricature. So I feel like there's a kind of nominative determinism there.
Growing more slowly. It's heating up in terms of inflation, and the outlook, of course, is just getting cloudier and cloudier as we lack these government data. So from a market perspective, I am a little bit concerned here because the market is just blindly moving higher when really a lot of the fundamentals are deteriorating beneath it. And so I think investors need to be cautious here and recognize that there is clearly a disconnect between market euphoria and really some growing problems in the economy.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the market may...
Isn't the full thing JP Morgan Chase sound more evil? Oh, JP Morgan Chase sounds super evil, because then it sounds like he's coming after you. Yeah, for sure.
Be ignoring some of the other warning signals, and do you feel like maybe the market would pay better attention if those government reports were to filter their way through?
Well, I think there's a sort of structural imbalance in the market. I mean, first of all, the vast majority of people putting money into the market are upper income individuals here and around the world. And so they're doing okay because of, the economy is doing okay for them. And they've also got, huge wealth gains. So they don't feel badly about putting money in. But also people have huge embedded capital gains. So it's very hard to pull money out. So it's sort of this valve which lets money in but doesn't let it out. And I think the longer this bull market goes on, the more painful it is from a tax perspective to get money out. So there's sort of a disconnect here, which could only be broken by a real shock to the economy. So if people are really scared about a recession or a huge credit event or some other huge event, then you get a gap down in the market, and that could be very painful. But for investors, you never know the hour nor the day when such a thing could happen. So I think it's just best to play it on the safe side and recognize that there is something a little irrational about how high the market is going and how well it is doing given this uncertainty.
It is really funny to hear that from somebody who works with JP Morgan, Like that's some real writing on the wall shit. You'd think normally they'd be like dancing and throwing money bills in the air, right? Or dollar bills in the air. Like, yippee! The market's going up even though it shouldn't be, but they're worried. This guy's a lot smarter. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I think he's being a lot more honest here. God, the dollar is still like this is one of those big indicators you should really be paying attention to a lot more than the fucking stock market. The dollar index has not recovered. Even as the market has recovered, the dollar index has not. We're down fucking 0.13. We were at 110, 1.1 relative to the euro. I assume this is weighted against the euro, right? The DXY, that's weighted against the euro. All the way down now to 97. It's weighted against a basket of currencies. Okay, gotcha. Check year to date. That was year to date. Yeah, this is year to date. Since Trump took office, it's just been a downward fucking plummet for the value of the dollar, you know?
Well, David, I'm trying to, withdraw some kind of messages from how the market is positioned and the degree to which the market has done very well, even as you've seen softening labor data, and some of the drivers of underlying consumption seem to be flagging a little bit. And one of them seems to be just a sense
That's kind of part of the plan, though, devalue the USD to encourage domestic manufacturing. Yeah, but we're not getting domestic manufacturing. That kind of doesn't work with the whole tariffs thing. We're not getting that. We're missing a part of the equation. Also, there is no amount of currency devaluation that we could do domestically that would make us competitive with China. What are we doing, man? That's insane. Why the fuck would we ever attempt to compete with China? How much would we have to devalue our currency to make that even remotely possible? Do you know? That's like fucking chopping your arms and legs off so that you're light and short enough to ride on like the children's water slide or something. It's insane.
Come 2026, there are going to be some boosts to the underlying economy, right? You've written quite a bit about how it should be a heavy first quarter tax refund season for various reasons. You have other provisions that are about to engage, I guess, in terms of corporate investment. You're going to lap the tariff effects. So I'm just saying that's the sort of benign view of things and maybe what investors are trying to anchor to.
It is. If you want to rationalize it, I think that could be part of the story. And indeed,
but Vosh, real industrial economy, less financial economy, buddy. There's more. You can do more with an economy than just manufacturing and financialization. What about a service economy? The thing we have. What about a service economy? What if we invested in this country in such a way as to promote like high money velocity with the things that we're actually good at doing? And then we use the incredible wealth in this country to supplement our interests with international trade. Like, why not? I don't know. Oh, if we're going to have domestic manufacturing, it's always going to be more expensive than shit made in China. What's wrong with that? Just like, yeah, go back to the good old days, man. You want like a high quality piece of furniture from North Carolina or a high quality car made in America, it's going to be made to a high standard, and also it's going to be expensive. If you want something cheaper, go foreign, whatever. Okay. Or a technical economy. I mean, it doesn't, you don't need to devalue the currency to encourage local production.
We're looking at a very soft patch in the fourth quarter, but it should be a short one because of all the sort of sugar
also,
rush.
Devaluing the currency suggests that we would need to do this to compete with foreign manufacturers in their countries too. Buddy, people in China are not buying shit made in America. At least not most of them, maybe the very wealthy ones. Why would we need to do that? Can't we just compete locally? I don't disagree, but you're going to have to convince like 300 million Americans to drop their Treatler shit. Listen, the Treatler shit is bad for its own reasons. I just don't think the solution to it is devaluing the economy or the dollar and fucking the economy, I don't think that's the ideal solution. Like, you understand one of the reasons why the Treatlerism, Temu Sheen bullshit has gotten so bad is because we have fucking ravaged the domestic economy. in terms of production and service. Nowadays, like so many Americans live in areas where the only place you can buy anything in person is a mall, and everything at the mall is like interchangeable slop made in China. Like, we don't really have a robust economy, but or like domestic economy where you can get things that you want locally. But you know what I bet you? I bet you that more people buy local in neighborhoods that are walkable and have a lot of like local one-off stores. In places like downtown Portland or in Seattle, I bet you far more people buy stuff, local, like farmers market shit for, local food products or stuff made by local artisans or whatever, than if you go out into the suburbs, the exurbs, or the rural areas. You just have to give people the opportunity to access stuff made locally.
Of these refund checks in the first half of next year. But it is sugar, not protein, and it's not going to last. And so once people have paid, have used these refund checks, which they'll use them pretty quickly, by the second half of next year, this economy is going to slow down again. Because the tariff effects, the huge reversal on U.S. immigration, these things are lasting effects.
They don't make anything high quality in China. That's not true. They make plenty of high quality things in China. They just tend not to be the things you can buy off Shein and Temu. How do you defund the economy? By encouraging or by implementing policies that encourage financialization and speculation rather than real world interpersonal transactions, which means that the money has very low velocity because it just sits in speculative accounts. And as a consequence, like, the money isn't moving around to facilitate economic transactions, which is the reason we have currency in the first place.
Economy. So unless you get further doses of sugar from further fiscal stimulus going forward, there are some issues here. So I think it's easy enough to rationalize every move up in the market. You can find something to justify it, and certainly corporate profits are very strong, and long-term interest rates don't look particularly high. But I think there's still room for concern here when you actually look at what's going on with economic fundamentals.
Well, that's interesting, David, because yesterday the president did mention considering taxpayer refund or rebate checks of $1,000 to $2,000. We know we're going to probably get some farm bailout news on Tuesday. This Trump RX effort is clearly a soft measure to implement some kind of price controls going into the midterms. How much can policy do on that front?
Well, it could do quite a lot in terms of speeding up the economy short term. We know that
you heard about the Trump RX stuff, right? And its weird launch. Partnering with Pfizer, beginning in 2026, the federal government will have a website through which Pfizer's prescription drugs can be sold directly to consumers at discounts without the intermediaries of pharmacy benefit managers such as CVS Health's Caremark and United Healthcare-owned Optum RX. I mean, in concept, that sounds good. The fact that they're partnering with one specific pharmaceutical company as opposed to others is a little weird. Is that good? I would need to know like more details about it, but it's the Trump administration, so my guess is probably no.
Consumption reacts very strongly to extra cash given to consumers. Unfortunately, inflation does also.
It's not cheaper than Medicare? So what, is it like $1 cheaper? Okay.
And the problem with that really is that usually growth effects come first and the inflation effects come second. So I would not rule that out at all. And that may be temporarily beneficial for the stock market, but it would be very negative for the bond market because it really says that any supposed improvement in public finances due to very strong tariff revenues are just going to be negated because we have to give money back to the people who are injured by the tariffs. So I think that's I think the message of the bond market is pretty negative from that. But yes, absolutely. I think we cannot rule out the idea that there'll be further fiscal stimulus before the 26th election.
Well, we'll see what effect that has. The Pfizer thing.
This is a really big announcement. This is something that most people said was not doable. We're ending the era of global price gouging at the expense of American families, and we're making America healthy again.
This policy is a shield for the chronically ill who have carried the burden of high drug costs for far too long. It's a signal to every American family that we're finally putting their health in.
It really does just refer you to coupons for the med. So let me guess, Pfizer partnered with the White House to basically run a government-wide promotional program for their drugs in which they sell them at ludicrously marked up costs, but not as ludicrously marked up as they would otherwise sell it to you as. It's the classic, it costs 2 cents to produce this pill. We're selling it for $50 rather than $200. and the White House is facilitating this, and Republicans will say, like, oh, what a deal.
Financial security first.
We're going to finally deliver on the fair drug prices that President Trump has been speaking about, and you see these numbers on the charts around us. These are massive wins for the American people.
Today marks the beginning of the end of the great American ripoff.
This is not an empty promise. It's not platitudes. It's not lacking a plan. These are hard contracts with teeth, lowering prices now that we will all feel.
The big winner of this deal clearly will be the American patient. There is no doubt about it.
Who is that guy at the end there, out of curiosity?
No doubt about it.
House of views. Weren't we getting 200% discounts? We were supposed to be getting 1,000% discounts, actually.
As a member of the Agriculture Committee from Iowa, I just want to get your reaction to President Trump considering $10 billion in aid to assist American farmers due to these tariff tensions. Obviously, a lot of farmers in your state. What do you make of this?
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, our farmers do need that assistance. They don't like it. They do consider it welfare. They want trade, not aid. And so we really need to see some of these new markets opening up around the globe. We need to see additional domestic consumption of our commodities like soybeans and corn. China is just not budging on this. And unfortunately, we've lost a lot of soybean contracts due to these elongated negotiations. But if there's anybody that can make a deal, it's President Trump.
Add this to the deficit, man. We're going to be paying stimulus checks to farmers for the rest of our lives. For the rest of this whatever stimulus, they're going to set in motion a precedent that will be fulfilled by our fucking great-great-great-grandchildren. You know, they'll be like, yep, it's just part of the U.S.'s obligatory non-discretionary spending every year. You just have to give $20 billion to farmers. Every year, they produce 60,000 tons of soybeans that then rot in a field. They don't know what else to do. They've been doing it for generations. Nobody buys it. They just do it, and that's it. And we give them money to do it. Yeah, we basically already do that for dairy production. Don't you do that for corn too? We already do it in a lot of ways, to be honest with you. Dude, my hair looks fucking ass today. I need to go get a haircut. I might go for a haircut later today. I'm putting the hat on. You know, I got this hat for free with my Imogene order. So nice of them. Well, cat. Yeah, doesn't it kind of look like the DSA symbol? Like, I don't know. He looks so young with a cap on. Yeah, that's because you can no longer mistake the fact that I have a widow's peak for me balding. I do this, and you're like, oh, this unshakable hairline that has stayed exactly in the same place for 31 years, that's actually a receding hairline. But if I do this, you're, you know, tricked into thinking that I have a solid, you know, no widow's peak. Where'd the hairline go? Yeah, yeah. Wait, people say you have a receding hairline. Well, in fairness, people say that about literally all live streamers. All male live streamers get accused of having a receding hairline, no matter how much hair they have. And if they're bald, that's all anyone wants to talk about. So it's pretty much like an unwinnable, yeah. It's all you can do. We're not done. Well, as is always the case whenever I'm looking to the media for some kind of coverage, you know that up until recently, basically nobody in media or in the Democratic Party was talking about the presidential memorandum, the presidential memorandum 7, the one that I talked about, the one that like fundamentally alters the relationship between the, yeah, nobody was talking about it. A bunch of people didn't even know what it was. NSPM, thank you, NSPM 7, the Hitler memorandum, exactly. Yeah, Ken Klippenstein was the one guy. Got a shout out from Ro Khanna recently. Well, speaking of the media not talking about the stuff that I want them to talk about, look at this. Kash Patel Pride Flag. I see one from Times Now. Okay. Times of India, India Today, Mirror Now, Times of India, The Hill, unrelated, and then more unrelated crap. Nobody? Really? Okay. It's pretty crazy. You know, it's pretty insane, in my opinion. Whatever. Kash Patel fired an FBI agent for being gay. Just yesterday, or on the 1st, either yesterday or 2 days ago. Very straightforwardly, you know. It's pretty crazy. You know, normally there's like a lot more abstraction here. Not even being gay, just displaying the flag. So you might think, okay, so he didn't get fired for being gay. He got fired for having a pride flag at his desk. Well, let's read a little bit further. FBI Director Kash Patel on Wednesday fired an agent in training for displaying a gay pride flag on his desk while appointed to a field office in California last year. Oh. So, at no point in the Biden administration was there ever any FBI policy, to my knowledge, preventing their agents from having a pride flag on display on their desk. No point. That was not a problem. Now, if there was some kind of agency rule against it, I mean, I think that would be bad, but at least that would be an on-the-book rule. It is not an on-the-book rule, and it certainly wasn't back under Biden's term. This is essentially just firing somebody for being gay. That's definitely a lawsuit for discrimination. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I hope he takes them to the fucking cleaners. 100%. That is insane. How to even find that out? I'll tell you how he found that out, you know? Because Kash Patel wasn't working at the FBI last year. I bet you there's a homophobic FBI agent who's worked with this agent in training who wanted to get rid of him and reported this to Kash or the higher-ups, and they just, rather than do what any sane person would do in this situation, any sane homophobe, and fire them for a made-up reason. You can fire somebody and say, like, oh yeah, they were incompetent. Oh, they didn't, you know, gel with the workplace vibe. I didn't like the cut of their jib. That's what you always do when you fire people for bigoted reasons, you know? Why would you say it was because they displayed the pride flag a year ago? That's insane. The letter cited President Donald Trump's Article 2 powers under the Constitution to dismiss federal agency career personnel, a justification used in several recent firings at the DOJ and FBI. The terminations are currently being challenged in several lawsuits. Yes, of course, because these are illegal firings. After reviewing the facts and circumstances and considering your probationary status, I have determined you exercised poor judgment with an inappropriate display of political signage in your work area during your previous assignment in the Los Angeles field office. Just flatly saying it. Unbelievable. I know that there weren't that many, but I know there are some WeHo gays out there. The fucking LGB drop the T types, you know, the pick-me white gays with a boyfriend who looks identical to them, who, you know, aren't like those degenerate trans queers or whatever. They're coming for all of you. Not me, though. I'm straight. You are being summarily dismissed from your position as a new agent trainee at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia, and removed from federal service. The FBI did not immediately respond to a request for comment about the story. MSNBC was unable to reach the fired trainee for comment and therefore is not identifying him. Termination of the pride flag was first reported by CNN. This is... I don't know. Does no one else feel like this is a kind of like turning point a little bit? Normally there's an abstraction here. Like for the most part, the Republicans are still careful to not openly say, you know, we're firing you for X reason. Like, even ideological reasons are less partial than this. This is just very flatly like, you're gone because you're gay. It's also a message to the public. Well, no, the letter was obtained by MSNBC, but it was not publicly sent. So I don't know if this was intended as a public statement. I don't think that it was. I think, this is just my guess here, I think Kash Patel might just be an idiot and a homophobe, and wanted to get rid of somebody who he suspected was like not in line with the MAGA agenda. But because he's stupid, he just said that, like, he would have opened himself up to less liability if he had said, we're firing you because your vision for the future doesn't align with the president's agenda. That would be like less actionable than this. Man, it's so fucking grim. When Trump was weeks away from inauguration in January, FBI agents and Justice Department prosecutors were warning one another to be careful about displaying information revealing their own sexual orientation or support for LGBT rights. After the inauguration, one person said, FBI agents warned colleagues that they heard new pro-Trump appointees installed at the FBI were combing through internal employee files to find lists of employees who identified as LGBTQ. I mean, we knew this. I talked about it back when it was happening. All those Doge fucks they put in power immediately started combing through everyone, you know, all dissenters. Pardon me, keeping my forehead moisturized, very important, as I furrow my brow ever more with the worsening news. I hope this fired unnamed FBI agent in training sues the shit out of the department and Kash Patel. I know, obviously, that, like, in this era, especially when it comes to challenging the federal government, there's no guarantee of a satisfying reward at the end of it. You're basically just guaranteeing you don't have a career with them in the future. But, yeah, pretty grim. You see the commemorative coins Patel's handing out in the office? Yeah, I saw it. Pretty minimal, right? I feel like they really could have gone the extra mile here. They're so insecure, dude. They're so fucking insecure. It's crazy. We're living in a country that is run by a government full of people who unironically believe that lifting your pickup truck makes you look cool, or like taking the muffler off your car or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's that entire... It's the whole political party, to be honest with you. Is it just me, or does it have mega Nazi vibes? Oh, no, it's just you. I don't know how you could possibly come to that conclusion. It's so sad my dad thinks this is cool. I'm telling you, man, fascism, it's all rooted in, like, psychosexual bigotry. It's all rooted in, like, insecurity. I have never met or talked to a fascist who was not burdened by those insecurities, or at the very least, not looking to profit off of them. A lot of fascists are just looking to get their grift, but they're indistinguishable to history, you know? What are the two middle barrels supposed to be? Your very droopy balls. I don't know. Oh, what's this? Don't do that shit. Hey, with Benjamin in chat, actually, I'm being reminded of something. You guys know PV exists? Went through some drama recently, not that I would know anything about that. You know, I've kept my hands clean. I'm not involved. I don't know what you're talking about even. PV? Who's that? Is she pretty? As the answer to that question is, of course, yes. PV's embroiled in a number of races right now. They're doing a lot of work. I know a lot of people... Hold on for a second. I know a lot of people are really cynical about the country right now, but this is something that I keep pointing out, and I want everyone to believe it, okay? It's that We're fucked in the sense that the empire is collapsing, not in the sense that there will not be a continuity of government, okay? The Republicans are incredibly incompetent. They will not hold power forever. There need to be people to inherit the future. We have a good candidate to do so. Now, I know you might look at this and you think her name is Afton Ben, because that's like the sane assumption here. Her name is actually Afton Bane. Fucking Batman name right there. Jesus Christ. There's a special election in Tennessee 7, U.S. Congress, after a GOP rep left, did a good night, y'all, after voting for the big, beautiful bill. I think he left on sour terms after that. He, like, felt disgusted by having voted for the bill. Like, this was one of those guys who was, like, kind of internally against the big, beautiful bill, but had to vote for it due to internal pressure. And then after he voted for it, he was like, all right, fucking, that was my, yeah. So Mark Green, that sounds right. Mark Green, yeah. Anyway, they got Afton Bane here, and she's, you know, there are Mamdanis everywhere for those with the eyes to see. PV, not only is PV campaigning for her right now because her primary election is on the 7th in 4 days, but also she's talked directly with PV. She's very thankful for the help. Just saying, she's doing well. She's leading in the primary race right now.
To talk about this, Afton Bane. She's running as a Democrat for Congress in Tennessee. Afton, good morning. Welcome to CNN This Morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so I feel like you're among the younger generation that is trying to run for some of these new seats. And
that's true. Worth noting, by the way, you know, Tennessee 7, not exactly a robust Democratic stronghold, you know. If she wins the primary, she'll be up against a Republican who is more likely than her to win. However, one of the biggest myths that we really need to break is the idea that the way to win in red states and red districts is by running moderates. I've never believed that's how it works. You know, you need to run people who are distinct from the Democratic Party. You need to run people who are, you know, don't feel like a Schumer clone or whatever. They're not like Pete Buttigieg, these like little fucking plastic doll people with no real positions or opinions or anything like that. Basically what I'm saying is, and you know, I'm just running a short pitch here, but basically what I'm saying is keep your eye on PV, folks. Sign up, okay? I know a lot of you are doing nothing but jerking off, playing Expedition 33 and doomering over your goddamn TLs anyway, all right? You're wasting your life. You might as well do something useful with it. Actually, Vosh, it looks like a very purple district. She has a better chance of winning the general than primary, and she's winning the primary. Okay. Well, folks, don't you want to participate in what might potentially be the flipping of a red district blue? Not only for a Democrat, but for a progressive Democrat that beats out the establishment candidates in the primary? I'm just saying. Just sign up with PV, you know? She's a cool lady. She's a cool lady, you know? She wants universal free school meals. I remember that. She's a Medicare for All fan. Cool lady. Once all the farmers shoot themselves, a lot of races become more competitive, SMH. That's true. That's true. You really open the field up. With that one. Seriously, throw your hat in the ring, okay? I'll give it a sec.
we were looking at our polling earlier, and it found there's a good number of voters in the Democratic Party who are actually like their satisfaction with who they have. It breaks down by generation. Some of the older voters are like, I'm fine with this. The younger voters are complaining. How do you win over that older crowd?
I think the energy is palpable. I think the electorate wants to see young voters, young leaders lead this charge. They want to see us usher in a generation of prosperity. They want to see us take charge, elbow our way into the table, and to...
One too many E's in that link, Benjamin. Y'all really have been up to a lot, haven't you? Tennessee leftist congresswoman needs your help. Election on 10-7, 12-2 general election. Starting Wednesday, Seattle mayor rematch, Katie Wilson, California gerrymandering amendment, Virginia voter protection phone banks, New Jersey gubernatorial race, Mamdani versus Cuomo part 2. Sheesh. You people are putting the work in. Y'all leave Benjamin alone? Well, Benjamin hasn't been in chat as much lately because, as it turns out, you know, like, he was able to focus his autistic energy towards something other than pestering me from chat, you know? He's been using it productively. You all could learn a lesson from this. A lot of you are just indefinitely, unproductively autistic, which is the worst kind of autistic. Fix yourself. Is it disarming for the right to run a lefty who's a Fox News blonde? I actually do feel like she might pick up some votes in the general, but because she has like sort of a Fox News anchor phenotype. You know what I mean? No blue hair here. Fun, Benjamin. Need more chud phrenology leftists to run. Like that fella in Maine. What is it, Graham? Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Graham Plattner. Wasn't Fetterman supposed to be the chud phrenology progressive? A little bit, but I don't really think that Fetterman even necessarily looked like a chud. He just looks like an ogre. Like genuinely, basically nobody looks like Fetterman except for Fetterman. Like he looks like a caveman. It's not like I haven't met any Republicans who look like him. You know, he's very unique in that respect. He looks like a Russian boxer. He looks like somebody who would go pro in competitive arm wrestling. You know, he just has like a particular. It's crazy. White Shrek. Shrek is already white. The early voter turnout in Tennessee 7 is only plus 400 Republican. And this is for the primary as well. There's real potential here. Guys, if we flip a House seat in a special election, nobody will have seen that coming. I want to be clear on this, okay? Nobody expects this. Like, nobody in the House, Democratic leadership, Republican leadership, nobody is expecting that after, you know, the Tennessee 7 gets flipped blue. It would be nice. It would be nice not only because it would signal momentum before the midterms, but it would also be nice because it would signal that progressives are the people who need to be running in these districts, not moderate Democrats, whatever the fuck that means. Wow, a Spanish Inquisition joke. Really bold stuff. Dude, my legs are sore. My fucking hammies. I was doing some dumbbell good mornings the other day. Peloton? No. Does anyone else run 2 miles every day? Fuck you. Oh, sorry. Was the runner's high not enough? You have to rub other people in it? Trump administration asks colleges to sign compact to get funding preference. If any California university signs this radical agreement, they'll lose billions in state funding, including Cal grants, instantly. If he actually follows through on this, that would be incredibly based. That would be insanely based. But I don't trust him at all. So we'll see, you know, we'll see what actually happens. Did you see Gavin Newsom's going to be on Fortnite Friday in like an hour? Jesus, does he know what he's in for? Is this real? I saw this. I just assumed it was fake. Huh. Cool. Can he stop trying to appeal to the youth? No. Hold on. Don't discourage this. This is fine. He was on Atrioc's podcast recently. Well, that I care less about. Wasn't Atrioc on his? If Connor asks hard questions, he's actually goated. Yeah, did you guys see the kerfuffle online because Andrew Callahan did an interview of Pete Buttigieg, and Andrew Callahan tends to be very agreeable when he interviews people. So Pete Buttigieg kind of just like whitewashed himself really, really, really effectively. And Callahan said there were people who saw the video who were upset that he didn't push back harder. He really is a weasel. Yeah.
I do want to start talking about Gen Z men. They range from angry to openly nihilistic. They can't go.
I don't really know that much about Atrioc. How do I feel about the shoes? Are these penny loafers with a weird shape, or are these penny loafers that are being worn with socks that just barely peek above? Why expose the ankles? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, personally. I'm not a big ankle showing guy. I'm not Italian. He even said I should have worn longer socks.
Back to the status quo. Yeah, I mean, they just can't. Seems like the DNC as a whole is trying to run a very similar playbook that didn't work and is wondering why they're not getting different results.
This is Gavin Newsom. And this is Brennan Ewing, a.k.a. Atrioc. All right, Brennan Ewing.
Hey.
Welcome, brother.
Gavin, pleasure.
It's good to be with you. A.k.a. Atrioc.
You got it right.
Your online name.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to in a minute. And for folks that don't know you, millions of people do because they watch you religiously. You're a rock star on YouTube, content creator, Twitch.
It's entirely online. And then after 2021, we started to get inflation.
Date all of this.
Yes.
For decades and decades. And we have the first generation, this Gen Z, that literally is poised to do much worse than their parents' generation.
Yeah.
This is the first generation in our lifetime, my lifetime certainly, but literally in America.
Newsom spends like 3/4 of the interview trying to understand Discord. Well, he is trying to like appeal to the kids here. Newsom is a freak psychopath with no sincere position. So he is just trying to like position himself favorably, you know, appeal to the young'uns.
In history where that would be the case. And so this is code red, and it's led to suicides, it's led to dropouts, it's led to all kinds of related issues. And there's guys are screaming disproportionately, men in some respects, and no one's paying any damn attention. And now we're looking at things, and I love what you're saying. We're looking at the platforms and not the underlying damn issues.
Yeah, a couple stats. Oh, sorry.
No, but yeah, but I want to get to, and I want you to hold those stats because I think they're incredibly important. But I want to go back just because so many people want to understand, and these are not root causes, but they're component parts of this larger conversation. We talk about the manosphere. What does that mean to you? I mean, what is it?
This is the investment that I think Trump and the Republicans made into spaces that are not even inherently political. They are spaces where people are talking about wrestling or UFC or video games or just finding connection often with other men and just trying to understand similar experiences in the world. And they invested in those spaces. And then, hey, on the side, you like this? Also on the side, you know, let's stop the woke mind virus. Or, you know what? It would be something like that. It would be, you know, Kamala Harris is not going to help you out. Like, that's the idea. And they would mix that in with things people already like. And it became
I agree. I feel like I've been making this point for a while. I'm happy to see it echoed in a more, you know, sort of widely distributed setting. It's a real issue. Like, again, people don't really engage with political content directly for the most part. If you're going online looking for political content, you're probably already cooked. For 90% of the population, it's like you pick it up by adjacency. A huge, huge, huge majority of MAGA voters are MAGA voters because their friends and family are MAGA voters, or because there's like cool cultural stuff happening that makes it feel good for them to be a MAGA voter, you know?
Very easy to slide in. And what's crazy, I don't think it's that hard for the Democrats to join these spaces. Most people like watching sports. Most people like, it's not rocket science. And I think, again, I can't overstate how it feels like a ball somewhere is being dropped when you can't speak even semi-authentically to people that are not from a different world. They're not that crazy.
Right.
So that's a problem that I would point out. And I think they did a good job with it. But I will also say this. Listen, we're going to fight in this country about social issues left and right forever, it seems. And I really noticed that in the wake of this Charlie Kirk thing, where it's just an endless amount of noise from every direction. You are inundated with it on social media. Every take goes viral in every direction.
Yep.
And nobody's making any progress and no one's making any forward motion.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is the main thing that I am seeing and feeling was a deep...
Sports are not chud-coded at all. That's a permanently online lefty opinion. 100%. I agree. I do agree with that, yeah. I mean, sports are chud-coded only to the extent that it tends to be men who pay attention to them. That's it. But beyond that, like, that's it. It's just like a broadly popular thing. They're just, yeah, it's normie coded, if anything. Man, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people still don't understand. A lot of people still don't understand. Like, one of the big reasons the Democrats lost and keep losing is because it's not fun to defend them. It's really fun to defend Republicans and Republican positions. There's a massive range of ways you can do it, and they're always giving you ammunition. They're helping you defend them because they're giving you like insane talking points. They have main character energy, so it feels like this big narrative struggle you can get involved in. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is out there gleefully defending Schumer. You might have these like upper middle class, suburban, technocratic wine mom and dad types who are like, well, Schumer's doing the best they can, or some dickless shit like that. But it's nothing compelling. It's nothing convincing. It's nothing that you could like lead a conversation with. You could have a fiery conversation about Mike Johnson. You could have a fiery conversation about Trump or Kash Patel or RFK Jr. You can't do that with any Democrats because they're all soulless technocrats who don't really like strike a position on their own. They don't give you reasons to believe in them or defend them outside of being technically correct, which is utterly insufficient in this day and age.
A deep resentment around costs and inflation and housing. And I truly think whichever side can solve those problems will not dictate, but we'll take the lead on social issues. People will go whatever direction is going to offer them solutions on that. And because Trump has not done that like he promised, there's already a reverse boomerang starting.
Atriarch is the AI creep, right? Buddy, wait until you find out what Gavin Newsom has done.
Yep.
Okay? It's going to go the other way. Regardless of whether or not anyone reaches out to podcast, there will be a reverse boomerang. But if it goes this way and that isn't solved again, it'll be an even stronger... that is how it's going to play out. I'm certain of it. So, yeah.
So you're talking, I mean, it's, unpacking this a little bit, it's not just about politics. I mean, you talk about nihilism more broadly defined. Yeah. I mean, this is just, despair.
It's economics.
It's economics.
I really is. Yeah. And so, one thing
I think people feel more despair, at least on the Democrat side, from a lack of initiative on the part of the party than they do economically. There are people who are happier and more mobilized in poor Latin American countries, like Mexico, for example. A lot of people in Mexico really like Shine Bob. The average person in Mexico is much poorer than the average person in America, but there's a much greater level of political enthusiasm there. And political enthusiasm, by the way, is like the opposite of nihilism. If you're genuinely enthusiastic about the potential for the country to be improved through politics, that's an antidote to nihilism. You can do both at the same time, I guess. Like, if your only politics is spite, so you're nihilistic about improvement, but you're enthusiastic about inflicting suffering, which a lot of fascists are kind of in that niche. But when it comes to like Democrat, liberals, whatever else, yeah, you need to give them something to hook on to, something to be excited about.
As a goal of mine on this podcast is to try and get you, not because I understand you have to win, not win. Okay, I'm just like, you have to gain support. You're a politician. You have to represent more than just some individual base. And I think what you're doing, talking to people politically different than you, is a big step, and that's awesome. And I think that's cool to gain voters.
And gain on.
How is defeating fascists not exciting? Buddy, are the Democrats providing you that narrative right now? Are you getting a big defeating the fascists vibe from Democrats? Are you waking up every day and getting like news hits from Jeffries and Schumer and other prominent Democrats on how like they're tearing apart the MAGA establishment, undermining their political goals, defending everyday Americans? No, you're not. So you're not getting that narrative from them.
More for
and
me,
understanding, yeah.
No BS, like gain understanding. I mean,
Yes.
Charlie Kirk on this show is when we launched this podcast is the first, and I mean, and I got people were pissed.
And you know what's funny is I respected more for that. I tried to do some research and watch some of these.
Yeah.
Some of the comments are brutal on you, and you did it anyway, and I respect you to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But so
no,
I'm not here to like push you in a direction that is going to make it harder to get a broader base. I think politicians should try to represent people that aren't directly aligned with them.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get you to understand is like, I think I want to push you a little bit more economically on, you know, in this country.
Most Dems in power are pro-Israel. Yeah, it's also pretty demoralizing to like be in favor of human rights and for your politicians to be nominally in favor of human rights, and all of them are bound by this like secret blood pact that forces them to lie to defend Israel 24/7. Like, it's really weird. It's not even like an incidental thing or whatever. They will agree with Republicans when it comes to cracking down on our own constitutional rights if it means defending Israel. Like, they are it goes beyond just like a disagreeable position. It's like they're all bound by a secret compact that we don't get to know about, but guides their behavior more than anything else. It's very weird. If Dems stop supporting Israel, do you think they'd be more popular? Objectively, yes. Like, it's an inarguably, yeah, 100%. Only 9% of Democrats support Israel or support Israel's actions in Gaza, I think, at this point. Like, it's like, not, yeah, it's an incredibly, like, easy layup of a position. But they're all compromised.
From like the 40s to the 80s, we had an extremely low Gini coefficient of inequality.
Yeah.
It was low and flat for years. A strong rising middle class, and people broadly feeling were proud of their country. They were, and it wasn't like Marxism. It wasn't
almost like the Israeli government controls our government through blackmail. I don't think that's true, though. Maybe some individual politicians, but I think that overwhelmingly it's just because we've chosen Israel as our like illiberal external military, de facto military base that we use to pay out to like military and surveillance and tech contracts, you know? Like, it's just, we've externalized a bunch of evil and we've made it into a different country. You know what I mean? We've taken, well, didn't Hohenheim do this in Full Metal Alchemist? We're taking all the evil and we're putting it in a different country. Or not all of it. There's still plenty of evil in America. But like, per capita, Israel is 20 times as evil as we are, you know, per capita. In total value, maybe still them, but it's closer. I don't know.
You know, so it was a capitalist country and businesses could thrive, but people felt like they had a real chance. And since we've allowed this increased consolidation, since we've continually used government funds to prop up the stocks and housing of elderly boomers that own it all, it has become more, it's a ladder that is fewer and fewer rungs to get on.
Yep.
And so if there isn't substantive change on that front, nothing else matters. Is what I'm saying. I really believe that nothing else matters. It won't break through. And I understand that, you know, these boomers vote too. Again, people give you a lot of crap for California housing. It's a tough problem the more I look into it. I used to be someone who just threw around blame really easily, and now I read more, it gets me depressed because it's like, it's an impossible, complex problem. People that have the housing, they put their life savings into it.
Man, I disagree. I think it's like really simple. There are states that are building lots of housing. You just have to have the balls to like step over the impediments. You just need to have like the mandate of the people. You need to have the will. The grand dragon needs to reside within your heart. Like it's not that technical. Like, implementation is technical. You know what I mean? But the will is what matters.
It's the retirement. If you try to bring housing prices down, well, then now this person's mad. I get it. But if it doesn't change, we're screwed. There's no getting around this. This is an angry, nihilistic generation that wants change better.
No, and what was the quote-unquote California housing crisis going back decades and decades?
Yeah.
Supply-demand imbalance, NIMBYism.
No, a lot of
issues around localism. Now it's now it's across the board, all across the United States. People are feeling those pressures, and that's why I think you brought up Ezra Klein a moment ago. We had him on the podcast too. The whole abundance agenda and focusing on away from process paralysis and lawfare there and all of the NIMBYism to a YIMBY, yes in my backyard, not no in my backyard mindset, in order to break through that and to start to address that supply-demand imbalance, to lower costs, to ultimately provide more points of opportunity. So I think you're 100% right, and I think it's only reinforced the broader analysis by the fact there's a lot of Trump supporters that otherwise would be Bernie supporters
absolutely
as well, or vice.
Jesus, he's endorsing abundance. Yeah, of course he is. He's done that before. He's been championing a California bill that passed to allocate resources to new construction. Yeah, that's not new. That being said, like, there is an enemy here, and you have to be willing to name it.
Versa. So this sort of notion of populism, and not in the pejorative sense, but truly representative sense, recognizing what's missing and giving voice to that. Now, the question is the prescriptions that Trump's offering, as you suggest, I couldn't agree with you more, are sort of proven to do precisely the opposite. I mean, the largest tax increase on middle class and working folks, i.e. tariffs, inflation that's now starting to go back up, and Fed policy that is actually not accelerating in terms
of...
If
anything, I'm surprised he doesn't think abundance is too left-wing. Abundance is explicitly a liberal project created by think tanks to provide a new compelling narrative for why the solution to this country's problems are more neoliberal think tanks and not the left. Like, the abundance movement is literally a book written by Substack anti-left neolib grifters who live off those Substack subscriptions, which then immediately spawned, somehow, artificially, a movement with conferences all attended by exactly the people that you would think would attend it, you know? People who want to make this about, like, technocratic, bureaucratic policy making, people who think that it's not about large-scale power imbalances, but, oh, you just need to tweak, you just need to tweak the numbers a little bit. It's fundamentally like an anti-left proposal. Now, there are people like Mamdani and a lot of leftists online who have effectively co-opted their standards and are now using it to, like, model a reformist approach towards addressing these problems. And I think that's wonderful. You know, take the good parts, leave the bad.
Decline in interest rates, but because of those uncertainties, particularly as it relates to pressure inflation, now is not necessarily moving as quickly to lower borrowing costs as we had otherwise hoped. So I totally agree with that. So let's talk just about that. I mean, Scott Galloway is...
I took his class. When I was at NVIDIA, I was in Scott's class, and he's one of the people... The way he spoke, not even the content of what he said, the way he presented, I was like, that is something I can learn from. And I took to that. So when I was starting to stream, yeah.
And Scott, Scott, for those that don't know, we also about on the pod as well. He's, I mean, he really speaks to the Gen Z generation. He speaks in generational terms as theft. You look at this big, beautiful bill and all this massive tax cuts that are burdening the generation that is increasingly already feeling like no one gives a damn about them.
Yeah.
So it just reinforces, I think, the call to arms that you're suggesting here in terms of consciousness, that is, as it relates to the moment.
Yeah, and I think these trends were in a bad direction before Trump, but he has done absolutely nothing to help. I mean, the Big Beautiful Bill is a disaster. It is a massive multi-trillion-dollar credit card swipe that we younger people are going to have to pay. And I don't know. I'm not suggesting getting rid of Social Security or anything, but it is frustrating as a young working person that the biggest line item on the government budget is checks to older people, many of whom have houses and have a paycheck to afford. You know, it is just, I think we are not seeing enough go to people that are trying to get started in the country and get on the ladder.
And do you see it from, I mean, so there's tax policy that's obviously profound and outsized. Yeah. It's interesting, we had Steve Bannon on as well. And, he was arguing for progressive tax policy. I said at a certain point, I said, Steve, you sound like you're governor of California, arguing for California's progressive.
Oh, okay. That's about the most of this that I can tolerate. Sorry. Did you see Rep. Madeline Dean caught telling off Mike Johnson, calling Trump unhinged? Is this what I think it is? Oh yeah, this shit's stupid. I don't give a fuck about this.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell. What are you doing on your side?
Who fucking cares? Like, why are you still talking to Republicans like they have a red line in the sand that if one day Trump will cross and then they'll all turn around on him? They all know they're lying all the time. I don't know why. Is this not humiliating for you to have to be this like achingly earnest and sincere, embarrassingly so, to people who are clowning on you nonstop? When are you going to wake up to this? I do appreciate, however, how Mike Johnson responded by saying, not Trump is fine, but rather a lot of your people are deranged too.
That are too. I don't control. Oh my God, please. That performance in front of the generals, that
I didn't see it.
Is so dangerous.
I didn't see it.
You know I serve on foreign affairs and appropriations. It's a collision of those two things. Our allies are looking elsewhere. Our enemies are laughing.
I just left.
Again, he knows if he could, he would send you to a camp. The only reason he hasn't is because it's not politically expedient or whatever, you know, it's just not the right time for him to do that. It's not a moral qualm. You're only inconveniencing him here in the sense that he knows this is all bullshit and he knows he can't admit that to the camera, but you're not going to get these trained liars to like break down crying and admit, oh God, it's all been a farce or whatever. This shit isn't happening.
You have a president who is unwell. How about the tweet last night with Hakeem and Schumer? Did you call that out to the president? Not your style. It's disgraceful. It's racist. You should call it out.
I will say, though, since Mike Johnson is 100% a grifter and doesn't actually care or believe in any of this, it is kind of shocking how quickly he looks defeated here. Not defeated. I shouldn't say defeated. Like, very quickly he looks resigned here. Like, oh, I don't control Trump, whatever, I didn't see it. You know, he's not really defending Trump here. He's disengaging. So it's kind of an indictment of the Democrats that they aren't haranguing him more. Like, at least make his life more difficult. You know? I don't know why they're not doing that. Like, apparently it's very easy.
Is it racist? You put a sombrero on a black man who's the leader of the House? You don't see that as racist?
I don't really see it as racist either.
I'm working. Personally, it's not personal. I love you and I respect you. Okay, we're not disagreeing. I know. I know.
Opportunity to lead.
I don't know. It's this stuff just doesn't really bless this lady. Why? She's not doing anything new. She's doing the same thing the Democrats have been doing since Trump's first term, which is going, look at this big orange Dorito. That's crazy, you know? Like, look, oh, when are you all going to wake up? Kamala Harris ran in 2024, continuing to promote the myth of bipartisanship. After an attempted insurrection and 4 years of Republicans in Congress being explicitly obstructionist, openly supporting not only Trump, but for many of them, the insurrection itself, she was still saying shit like, well, I'd have a Republican in the cabinet, you know? What the fuck? Bless this lady. I wouldn't bless her too much. She's my rep and voted to honor Charlie Kirk. Well, there you go. For how fucking, you know, valuable these resist libs are to us. This is so fucking Reddit, yeah. What a gutless, spineless toad Johnson is. They're not. He's not gutless. He's not spineless. He's paid to lie, and he's good at his job. That's not the same. He just hates you. They're just evil, man. I don't understand why. Vosh, I don't think you mean to do this, but do you ever worry your rhetoric sounds like GOP does something bad, Dems fault? GOP does something good, Dems fault for not doing it first? I do sound like that, and I stand by it. Yeah. Right now, the Republicans are doing what they are supposed to be doing. They're doing what their voters want them to do. They are evil, and they're sowing dissent and chaos and destroying the country, which is what they want. They are succeeding in that job. When Republicans do something evil, the question should not be, or I suppose the statement should not be, you know, thank God the Democrats aren't that bad. The question should be, why aren't the Democrats that good at doing good? Why aren't they as capable of doing good as the Republicans are of doing bad, you know? Past a point, there really just isn't much rhetorical juice you get out of the fruit of Republicans bad. They're very bad. They're killing all of us, okay? And anyone who watches my content is aware of that fact. But the Democrats are the ones who are supposed to be on the other side, you know? If you think of it as a sports match, it'd be like getting mad that the other team is playing really well by their standards, and your team is all busy, like, picking their nose and shoving crayons up, and it's like, you know, I don't know. You have to do something with it. It's also our only path forward. Pointing out the Republicans are bad isn't really going to fix the problem, you know? Well, it depends on how you do it, I suppose. Certainly, I call the Republicans bad all the time, but we need to change the Democratic Party. I get that frustration. I just don't get focusing on that more than what the right is doing. Well, for one, I don't. I do talk about Republicans more often than Democrats, but also we can't change the Republicans. We can change the Democrats. Sign up with PV. The Democrats are right now more unpopular than they ever have been in American history. They have literally never been this unpopular. I think that, if anything, my criticism, which is born of a desire to change them from, you know, and save this country in doing so, is born of greater love and respect for what the Democrats could represent than any of the Democratic leadership actually has for their own party. I think that Schumer and Jeffries hold their party and their base more in contempt than I ever could. Like, there's nothing in my heart compares to the scale of hatred Schumer feels for you. I'll tell you that much, okay?
So, Senator, you know, Republicans say what you're really fighting for is taxpayer dollars for, as they put it, illegal aliens. I know that's not strictly true, but there is a provision.
You were more positive towards third parties when a chatter mentioned a stream or two ago. Do you feel this way? It does kind of feel like the Democrats are in a suicide pact right now. I mean, like, I think that third party... I think that a third party solution is incredibly fringe. But, like, past a point, it does get to a point, you know?
Excuse me, not strictly true.
It's not true directly, but...
It is a flat-out lie. It is a flat-out lie.
The way that they frame it...
There is nothing in Medicare that permits one undocumented immigrant to get $1 of assistance.
Senator, if you let me finish the question...
Of course, Senator, I'm sorry.
Sorry, in the Democratic counteroffer, the proposal for funding, there is a restoration of Medicaid benefits for certain non-citizens that it had been taken away in the big, beautiful bill, as the Republicans put it. Republicans don't think those people should be getting health care on the taxpayer dime. I'm not asking on the merits. Politically, putting that in there exposes you to this talking point, this lie, as you put it. Why put it in there? Why is it worth it?
No, what's happened is that what we're saying is that whenever hospitals give care, what is going to be the level of reimbursement? And the Republicans said it's going to be a low level. The Democrats said we just want to go back to the level it was before because you're going to bankrupt hospitals. You're going to put rural hospitals out of business. The Republicans and the Democrats plan, nothing changes the number of undocumented immigrants who still get care if they show up bleeding and unconscious at an emergency room. There is absolutely zero difference. The difference is whether or not hospitals, who under laws that date back to Ronald Reagan, may provide emergency care to anyone who's unconscious, will actually get reimbursed at a very low level that will put the hospital ultimately out of business potentially.
I feel like even if what she's saying right now is correct, and it is, even this is like a messaging failure. Again, we're talking about lowest common denominator politics across the board at this point. I think she should just lie. She should just say whatever. Who gives a fuck anymore, man? She's right here. She doesn't have to lie, like, to make a point. But again, we're trying to appeal to, like, the stupidest people in the world here. Why can't they just say an ER can't check citizen status? Yeah, just scream that over and over. Say, like, you get in a car accident, your body gets brought to the ER, they can't find your wallet, they don't know if you're a citizen. Do they wait before operating on you? And then make the person, like, just go, what? Whenever the person you're talking to tries to, like, change the point or whatever. It's not even lying. I mean, it's straightforwardly what they... I don't know. I don't believe in democracy anymore. Unless it's for the candidates PV is working with. Whitest kids you know type shit. Funnily enough, I you know, thinking that saying what loudly is a whitest kids you know bit, like they invented that, is itself a whitest kids you know bit, I feel. That's very indicative. Must have had a very quiet upbringing. Rest in peace, Trevor. I got a piss, but I'm holding it in. I got strength you wouldn't believe. Okay, are we at war with Venezuela? What's happening? Hello? What is this? Military strikes. Supreme Court allows the Trump administration to strip protections from hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan migrants. Wow. Neat. Thank you, the Supreme Court. Was it a 6-3 decision? The justices issued an emergency order which will last as long as the court case continues, putting on hold a lower court ruling by U.S. District Judge Edward Chen of San Francisco that found the administration had wrongly ended temporary protected status for Venezuelans. I love the Supreme Court, man. It's so fucking cool. It's so awesome how, like, every illegal thing the administration does can be challenged by federal courts, and then it gets appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, oh, well, we haven't even gotten to that case yet, but in the meantime, we'll let the Trump administration do whatever they want. I don't feel bad at all for those Venezuelans because there are Venezuelan alt-right idiots in there that think they're immune to this. They are not. I feel like that's a little bit, a little callous. That's probably a very small portion of that population. That being said, if you are a Venezuelan migrant and you are still in the United States as of October 3rd, 2025, I have to say, you, was the writing on the wall in English, which you can't speak? Ah, that's also callous. A lot of them don't have any other option. House Speaker cancels legislative business next week. Everyone ready for a new record on the government shutdown? What's the previous record? Is the previous record like 30 days? 31? What was the previous record? 35? Okay, 35. Is the U.S. the only country that shuts down the government like this? Yeah, pretty much. France? That's a different thing. Papua New Guinea does. Oh, okay. Well, as long as we're in good company. No, Belgium had like a year-long government shutdown once. They're different things. They're different things. That's not the same. Belgium and France have they don't have a government shutdown. They have like, what is it, like an absent government, or their government collapses. But the government collapsing means that they don't currently have their prime ministerial system in order. Like they no longer have the votes or the majority necessary to bring up like the government in its operation, its leadership. But they still pay out, right? Like the government still operates in the sense that like the budget continues to get paid. In this case, the federal government is off. It's like flipping a switch, you know? Chad needs to understand that in every other country, if a budget bill does not pass, the existing previous budget just gets continued. It's crazy. It's crazy to imagine that, you know? Why can't we have this? I don't know, the founding fathers or something type shit. France and Belgium have hung parliaments, not shutdowns. Yeah, if America had a parliament and I was on it, we would also have a hung parliament. -2. All right, I'll go take a piss. 1 second. You. I returned the money. Cat? Here. What are you up to? Yeah? Say it again. Say it again. Oh, now you're shy? Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. Mwah. Heard a little peep? The peepler. And one more. I'm being excitedly brought stage assistance by my partner. She's very floppy. Woo! See? Liquid. Very good. Thank you for paying your tax cuts. Yeah, they help make rent, you know. Donations increase by a small percentage. It's a consequence of them being it's always worked that way. It's transactional, you know. All right, what are we on about? Trump has not been seen in public since Tuesday and has no public events on his calendar today. Is he stroking out again? Did he sentenced to only 4 years? Why does everyone keep talking to me like I care? It's been like 500 people in chat. Over and over again, they say this. Okay, I haven't covered the Diddy case at all. People keep... One guy posted about it, got muted for 1 minute, and then as soon as the mute ended, posted about it again. It's crazy. Yeah, no survival instinct at all. No idea what they're doing. Hold on 1 second. There's always some goddamn noise coming out of here. Whoa! Nearly kicked the chair out from under where I was planning on sitting. Sheesh. Gotta be careful. It's a dangerous job, not just a difficult one. Would have been a great clip. That's true. All right, on a slightly less goofy tone.
Tonight in Cranford, New Jersey, a community reeling.
They were some of the best people I've ever met.
After a 17-year-old boy was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the brutal hit-and-run killing of 2 teenage girls, best friends, identified by their families as Maria Neotis and Isabella Salas. According to the county prosecutor, the suspect, who has not been named because he's a minor, allegedly struck the girls with his black Jeep while they'd been out.
Is this deranged right-wing kid stalked these 2 girls for months and hated them because he was right-wing and they were... Oh, here's him, by the way, looking exactly how you would imagine. This freak, incel, when these 2 girls, after Charlie Kirk's getting unalived, the girl said something he didn't like. I don't know, maybe was blasé about it, and he ran them down with his Jeep. He'd been stalking them for months. The girls had made multiple complaints. I feel it's extremely important. This is unambiguously an act of right-wing terror. Murder of 2 girls. But, you know, if it was done the other way around, like the perpetrator was on the left, the media would be going fucking haywire about it. Democrats would be making conciliatory statements about the need to turn down the violence, and right-wingers would be gloating about it, and they'd be talking about it for months and months and months and months. This is very unambiguous. But in a lot of the news stories that I'm seeing, they're not even talking about the fact that this guy was a right-winger who killed these 2 girls for political reasons, and that he was fucking live streaming the thing. Clip of him on his channel prior to the incident.
Tonight. I gotta get drop P5 tonight.
Hey, whenever Maria sees the pizza guy come, better think of Charlie Kirk for making fun of his fucking death. Stupid ass clown.
Wait, what?
Just remember that.
He was like streaming right up until killing them. Apparently an Andrew Tate fan as well. Oh, wait, sorry, hold on. New Jersey teen accused in Cranford murders calmly plays live video game after the crash. Oh, sorry. That clip was him after having killed the 2 girls. Went on a YouTube live stream the next day and tried to portray himself as a victim of bullying and the government's failure to address a mental health crisis. Oh my God, that's perfect. To do that after vehicular homicide. Oh my God. Why, okay, genuinely, why am I looking at this at New Jersey 101.5? Why is it that we have Kash fucking Patel getting people to scroll fake notices on magazine clips a bullet clips after a guy snipes a couple of undocumented migrants in the back of a van. And we get this for months, you know, months and months of this narrative. This is the most clear-cut case. All of our national media is right-wing. Yep. Literally all of it. Like, you guys know that, right? Every single national media outlet is right-wing. No matter what the political biases of the actual, like, columnists and anchors and so on are, they're all run by, like, 5 fucking people. Not NPR, though? Well, no, NPR's run by, like, dickless, do-nothing liberals with, you know, postgraduate degrees. As the families and friends of Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas were racked with grief after the fatal Monday afternoon crash in Cranford, the 17-year-old online gamer and follower of Andrew Tate went live with his gaming buddy as if it were another normal day. He even crowed about how much engagement and revenue he was getting from the angry comments to his sick live stream. The video was posted a day before the Union County Prosecutor's Office announced 2 counts of first-degree murder against the juvenile, who has not been publicly identified because of his age. Well, he was live streaming, so, you know. In an emotionless rant, the gamer told a mostly hostile YouTube audience of more than 200 people that there is, quote, more to the story that you are not getting. What the fuck? He was talking about the murders on the live stream? Okay, imagine how surreal that must have been to be one of the viewers and be like, oh, I'm just watching like a murderous incel live stream before the police pick him up. Okay. Bro, you killed my best friend, you animal, one YouTube user responded. We're not really... I'm not ready for modernity, man. The version of the world people are growing up into... Somehow Twitch algo worked for this dude? No? He was on YouTube. They knew that he was the killer. He was a stalker. He'd been stalking them for months. The 2 girls had reported him multiple times and nothing was done. When those 2 girls were hit with a car and their deaths were reported, a lot of people probably immediately knew it was this guy, went online, saw he was live streaming, and then watched as he, like, talked about it before the police picked him up. CBS doesn't even cover the political angle of this attack. God, I fucking hate mainstream media, man. Jesus Christ. Oh, just an apolitical, just a hit and run. Just an apolitical hit and run, you know? Jesus fucking Christ. No mention at all of a political angle, just like somehow carving that out. Yeah, incredible. No mention here in the text.
While they were riding an e-bike, a final goodbye today for one of the 2 teenage girls killed by a driver who police say mowed them down while they were riding an e-bike in Cranford. A wake was held last night for Maria Niotis in Union, where we heard from her mother for the first time. Christy Kalishan joins us live from Union, where Maria Niotis' funeral is being held later this morning. Christy.
Mary, in just a few hours, loved ones will be gathered here at the church behind us to celebrate the life of 17-year-old Maria Niotis, and just unfathomable grief from her mother, who we heard from last night here at the Greek church, St. Demetrios Greek Orthodox Church in Union, just minutes from where she...
He's related to the police chief of the neighboring town in Westfield. Related somehow to Christopher Bataloro. Huh. I don't know if that necessarily means anything.
And her best friend were tragically killed. Born in Greece, 17-year-old Maria Niotis had dreams of pursuing a career in cosmetology after high school.
Maria had a passion for all things beautiful. Music.
You will find right-wingers celebrating the show. Of course, absolutely, because they're demonic. They literally don't care. There's no amount of evil the right wing, especially online. I think if you talk to a lot of Republicans in person, they'd be like, of course this is horrible. But online, like the aggregate position will always be like, it doesn't matter. Like a right wing incel could murder like babies for whatever perceived reason, and they would justify. They do not care. It's all like they treat reality as a rhetorical game where you are providing them prompts. And their job is to like have fun and be creative and be vindictive in response to those prompts. Like there's at no point does a moral consideration even strike to them. They do not care.
Makeup, hair, fashion. It wasn't just about glam. It was about helping people see the beauty in themselves that maybe they had forgotten.
Neotis' heartbroken mother, Fula Neotis. The 17-year-old was riding an e-bike with her best friend, Isabella Salas, on Burnside Avenue in Cranford on Monday when they were struck and killed by a driver who ditched the car in front of Tim Boren's house.
I saw the car that had been abandoned, right here next to my house with the e-bike.
There's a clip of him saying that he was mad they made fun of Charlie Kirk. I mean, he live streamed after. He talked about it extensively. I assume the channel's deleted now, but yeah, we saw that.
Sort of lodged in the engine block.
The suspect, who CBS News identifies as 17-year-old Vincent Bataloro, was arrested on Wednesday and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Court records show he was given at least 15 tickets related to the crash and that he was going at least 70 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. A day after the violent crash, Bataloro streamed this video, claiming he was being bullied.
I've been bullied, ridiculed, and stuff over false allegations, okay? Over this whole thing about things that have happened in the past. There's more to this story.
He honestly just seems like a mentally ill, low IQ, hateful incel who was looking for an excuse to lash out anyway. It's not like it was just a random targeted set of murders. He was stalking these people beforehand, you know? People like this love shit like that.
It'll come out in the future.
At a memorial for the girls near the crash site, loved ones and even strangers are thinking about the 2 teens who had so much more to live for.
It's an emptiness in our home, in her room, in my arms.
Neotis is also surviving.
Again, deliberately omitting the political motivations here is a violent act on the part of these media organizations who are working in tandem with the Trump administration to create a false narrative. If this was the other way around and the murderer was a left-winger who was attacking people who were being blasé about, whatever else, they would have 100% reported on it immediately, as they do every other time they suspect that happened. Thank you, New Jersey 101.5, for not being like major media and therefore calling this what it is. His TikTok account, which has, 40,000 followers. Oh, he was actually really? He didn't seem particularly charismatic. In fact, his live stream after the murder may have been the reason we didn't see a political spin trying to paint him as a left-wing terrorist. My bet is that this barely gets any international, sorry, not international, I wouldn't expect it to go international, any national attention at all, Even though, again, if this was reversed, it would 100%, yeah, get that. I just think these people are animals, man. Like, they belong to an ideology that is designed to foster and encourage hate. Like, they are emotionally stunted. It's one of the reasons, you all get mad at me when I say that you can, as I have, effortlessly shift in and out of being autistic at a moment's notice. A simple mental exercise, the likes of which you could only dream of. But I will say this, and I hope you'll agree with me, certain politics can make you mentally ill. Mental illness isn't just an inborn condition, It is possible for environmental forces to exacerbate you know, anything going wrong with your head. I think that the way, especially, God, nowadays, everyone's a fucking iPad baby, you know. The kids are going on Twitter at 13 and everything's neo-Nazis. I mean, it's insane. I don't know. So we do agree that Nazism is a mental illness. I think in my opinion, yeah. Like, if you accept that by mentally ill, we mean like aberrant psychological conditions that make it more difficult for you to work within society, which is a working definition we use broadly for a lot of things. Everyone's personality is different. We have general terms to describe like when it becomes maladaptive. Yeah. Nazism is by that definition a mental illness, but it can also cause other mental illnesses, you know, like AI-induced schizophrenia. I think a new article came out that recently, a particular case of a guy going fucking nutso, you know, more megalomaniacal behavior. The AI he thinks that it's speaking to him personally. It has a real personality, so on and so on. But no, I think it's deranged. At the very least, it's asocial behavior. Yeah. These lunatics, man. I don't know. Just really depressing. They got picked up by NBC Nightly News, but still no mention of politics. Yeah, that's the one we saw earlier. That's the first video that we saw. Too many Indians drivers. Bro demolished them. Trump's America. More senseless car violence. Well, these are all bots. I don't know why I'm reading them. Doesn't really mean anything. What did the Indians do? Statistically speaking, Indians were responsible for radicalizing this young man on Twitter. So they control like 85% of the Nazi accounts. So, we'll chalk that one up to them. That was pretty good. You like that? You like that redirection? Thank you. I try my best. Give me a stand-up career. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem was just barred at the doors and screamed at while trying to enter Broadview City Hall. Broadview City Hall. This is in Chicago, correct?
Can we use the restrooms? No, you cannot. We can? Okay. All right. Thank you. Interesting. That's what Governor Pritzker says is cooperation.
Shit yourself now!
People safe.
So why wouldn't they let you in? What's been going on here? What's been going on here, Secretary?
We were coming to go out and do some operations to pick up some guys with criminal convictions on them, and the city police wouldn't even let us use a restroom.
And you were just blocked by a worker here for the city?
A worker at the municipal building here in Broadmoor would not allow us to go in. It's used.
Love the head of the Department of Homeland Security being shadowed by YouTuber Benny Johnson. You know what I mean? Like they always have a posse with them. And it's all content creators.
Restroom at the police station.
Not even like a real media person.
So as much as these local leaders and governors talk about cooperating and having the backs of our law enforcement officers, this is what we have to put up with every single day.
Whiny pussy, fucking pussy, piece of shit. Fuck these bitch ass bleeding. I can't say it because my subreddit will. Because they think I only do it to women. It's not true. They say I'm only misogynistic to women. I'm misogynistic to men as well. These fucking dude, like screaming, Kristi Noem screaming from the rooftops. These people, these evil fucking Hitlerites, and then they go out there and they can't open the door, and they're like, "We, so much for the tolerant left." I need to pee, you know? Like,
And all we're doing is getting criminals and terrorists and cartels and gang members off the streets to make families safer here. It's ridiculous.
I mean, is impeding law enforcement? I mean, this is a real problem around
This is a real problem. I'm so proud of our officers that...
I like how Benny Johnson is more media trained than Kristi Noem is, so he's trying to prime her for the questions. Like, she's giving, like, kind of weird, deflated answers, but so he's like, this sounds like treason? This is like treason?
Deal with this every single day. They know that America's got their backs, but what they face here every day is real prosecution.
Incredible. Incredible. Wow. Municipal Broadview building.
Wow. Oh, he's doxing. I'm doxing Broadview Municipal build. Oh, he's showing it. Wow. Look at that. Wow.
Looking at the Secretary of Homeland Security inside the building.
Wow. Wow. Sorry. Over under and one of them getting a bomb threat. Oh, fuck. Like, every building's getting bomb threats these days. Every time they are involved in any way with the Republican Party. How long ago was this? This was like a little while ago, right?
Again, we're watching as protesters...
Oh, there's Benny Johnson. God, he looks like shit. Guys, don't dress like this. Okay, don't dress with like slim black pants and then a slim black t-shirt. It makes you look really insecure in your body.
Police, a lot of them yelling in their faces, have not seen anyone detained within just the last minute or so, but I know within the last 30 minutes, Jackie Audrina, we've seen at least 8 or 9 people being led away in handcuffs.
And Estelle, we do want to cut in here real quick because our camera has its lens right now on Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who appears to be talking to Greg Bavino.
Guy on the right rocking the Dracula flow fit. You're so right. I was thinking, why do I feel like this guy has more aura than he's earned? Now I know.
Our camera has its lens right now on Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who appears to be talking to Greg Bavino. You can see as she is getting into that SUV right now, or it looks like she might be talking to a few more people at the moment.
We did get word that she was going to be here, not only from our sources, but also from Governor Pritzker, who said he had heard from media sources. With her here, though, I mean, we don't know if she's going to speak, but of course we will be ready if she does. I know the governor really wants to hear from her about the ICE activity in the area. He says he wants to hold her accountable. He wants information on her department's actions, why they're doing it.
I'm sure she'll be very forthcoming. I'm on them Nashville Nibblers. Last guy who ran off from the deportation enforcement action got choked out by some Givenchy gloves. Last thing he ever saw was the price tag on him. Faded to darkness. I let the archangels take him.
Why they're targeting specific areas like the building in South Shore. Looks like she's getting into the SUV. And
it looks like she was just speaking to Benny Johnson as well as Greg Bavino.
And we're just going to check and see if she ends up leaving this facility. We did see her on the roof within the last hour, kind of checking things out and watching the crowd from above. But
it must be really embarrassing to be like a somewhat self-serious apolitical person who kind of keeps up with what's going on in Washington, and then Trump 2.0 comes out, and all of a sudden you have to learn the names of like every right-wing content creator who has more than 10 million monthly views, you know? Like, oh, fuck. Now it's like really important to the functioning of the government that I know who Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder is. It's like, oh my God, man. None of these people are even in office or anything. They're all just fucking guys with phones. I have been menaced by one fruit fly that has been in my room. It disappears as soon as I try to do anything about it. I don't even fucking know how long fruit flies live. They live like 10 seconds. I have no idea why. Yeah, it's gone. It's not as bad as a regular fly, because a fruit fly is tiny, so you don't have, like, a buzz noise. You have a fly swatter? You don't need a fly swatter to swat a fruit fly. You just clap your hands. They're slow and fat. Do you have a full bin? No, I take my trash out regularly. Just open a door, Lamau. I have! Wait, what's wrong with wearing all black? I thought I was based for wearing this. You don't... You ain't him. That's all I'll say. You ain't him. Every time I pop open YouTube, I'm getting a new short recommendation from my number one boy, Cowboy Crust. What are you up to?
I just got sent a shirt in the mail that looks pretty plain, but can actually help prevent ivory poaching and reduce plastic waste. This new work shirt from Pinup Rags has Carozzo buttons. And basically what those are buttons that are made from the seed of a tropical palm tree in South America. There, they actually call it vegetable ivory because it has extremely similar characteristics to animal ivory. The difference here, though, is that no animals are involved, it's sustainably produced, and it's actually biodegradable as well. So truthfully, if you're a brand, I see no reason why you should be using any other plastic buttons when you have something like this. Pinup Rags also sent me 2 other items to make up sort of like an entire outfit, so let me show off these as well. Now, Pinup Rags always has great designs, excellent attention to detail, but to me, their commitment to ethical labor, most of their stuff being made in Los Angeles, and giving you products with extremely high quality natural fibers, that's what sets them apart from other brands coming up right now. Okay, so we got a little tee, nice water print graphic, looks like it's really faded. Also, to hit you with a buzzword, it is single stitch. Really good traditional vintage t-shirt fit. We've got these chinos that
actually looks really fucking good.
Have a lot of really cool details. Sewn on paper sizing tag, 2 different style pockets in the back, and as you can see, there's a good amount of repairs all over. Very Ralph Lauren of them to do this.
God damn it. I just went to their fucking website and it says enter using password. Fuck you. Goddamn company probably makes 5 garments of clothing a year.
Absolutely love that. Oh, this is very cool. It's a button fly and every single button is a different color. Now, it's not part of this collection, but I feel like I should also wear this other belt that's from Pinup Rags as well. Really cool little studded flower one. I'm gonna wear my Oxbow loafers with this. These are from GH Bass. And now let's pop on the work shirt. Along with everything else they make, there's a few cool details about this in addition to the buttons. It's got a little pencil pocket right here, which is fun. And one of my favorite
grift economy. That's not a grift economy.
Features is actually right here. This is a 1930s style stormproof cuff. So basically when unbuttoned, you have this gap here. But when you rebutton it, there is no extra opening right here. All right, and here's the entire outfit made from pretty much all Pinup Rags. And also just huge shout out to you guys for continuing to make high quality, great design items and not sacrificing your morals to make them. If y'all are interested in any of these items, they'll be coming out super soon. So head over to Pinup Rags socials and check in with them there for more details.
Check in with them there for more details. I don't have that kind of attention span. No graphic tee, the fizz ruined. He was wearing a graphic tee. Oh, Dana, I saw that a long time ago and multiple times. It's real good. Are we going to discuss the details of the fake Trump ceasefire deal that just dropped? I don't give a shit about ceasefire in Gaza until something actually happens. Words, blah, 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 blah. That's been like this for years, man. We've had 57 consecutive blab sessions with Trump and Netanyahu going, this is the final deal, you must accept this deal. Like, I want to see an actual change, a meaningful change in anything at all to talk about. Hamas responded to Trump's plan. Okay. So what's to say that, like, it's not just going to
in the 1970s.
Oh, that wasn't the quit out of YouTube button. So what's to say that Israel doesn't just immediately violate the ceasefire and everything starts all over again? You know, like, that's what keeps happening over and over again. So who cares, right? We'll see. We'll see if anything actually changes. Okay, what is this? Democrats pull away from AIPAC, reflecting a broader shift. I don't believe it. For 17 years, Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York and the minority leader, has been taking polite meetings with J Street, the center-left lobbying group that promotes a two-state solution in the Middle East. But in all those years of relationship building, Mr. Jeffries never sought the group's endorsement. He was more closely associated with AIPAC. Yeah, okay, wait. So is he saying like he's moving away from AIPAC to J Street? As far as I'm concerned, they're both the same thing. That changed last month when Mr. Jeffries for the first time was open to and accepted J Street's official support. It was a coup for J Street, who is highly critical of the current Israeli government and seeking to establish itself as the main voice about Israel and Cap Hill. Yeah, no, don't care. This is just another way of laundering Israel's reputation. AIPAC is like openly genocidal, openly in favor of, you know, pro Netanyahu, pro killing, ura, and J Street is just, you know, in case that stuff falls through and becomes unpopular, how do we continue to promote Israeli interests within the American government in a way that's less like openly genocidal? You know, to me, these are the same thing. There's nothing advocacy within JPAC would do that would meaningfully change Israel's behavior. Hey, Jimmy, give me a yap with nothing. J Street. Can somebody gift me this link? It's not letting me see it because of censorship. Yeah, thank you, Sake. J Street's endorsement of Mr. Jeffries attracted little attention on Capitol Hill, where the group already backs well over half the Democratic members of Congress and the rest of the House Democratic leadership team. Mr. Jeffries is so closely associated with AIPAC that the radio host Charlemagne the God recently mocked him as AIPAC Shakur. So the fact that he would take such a step is a symbol of a broader sea change. Didn't he fire back at Charlemagne the God for this? Didn't he get like mad at Charlemagne the God for calling him AIPAC Shakur? How big is his fucking ego? Yeah, he called him Charlatan the Fraud. How big is Jeffrey's ego? He's so stupid. He's so... Oh, yeah, he says so right here. Like, Jeffries is so stupid and so uncharismatic and so unlikable, it never really occurred to me that he might have an ego. Like, what ego over what? What about you is worth defending? If I recall correctly, he's really insecure because of the big shoes Pelosi left. He should be. But also, like, nothing. AIPAC is becoming an increasingly toxic brand for some Democrats on Capitol Hill. Some Democrats who once counted AIPAC among their top donors have in recent weeks refused to take the group's donations. Its annual trip to Israel, a formative experience for many lawmakers that once drew a majority of first-time members, has seen a drop-off in Democrat attendance. God, how fucking far we've fallen, huh? Insane. Guys, the Democrats are finally turning away from Israel. We're down to only 70 Democrats going on AIPAC's yearly trip over to Israel, where they can fucking touch their forehead to the wall or whatever the fuck they do, you know? And a large portion of the Senate Democratic caucus has voted in recent months for legislation opposed by AIPAC to cut off weapons sales to Israel. Large portion. AIPAC has long been a force on Cap Hill, able to spend seemingly whatever it took to defeat lawmakers it viewed as hostile to Israel. Last year, for instance, the group spent more than $23 million to defeat former Rep. Cori Bush of Missouri and Jamal Bowman of New York. Yep. Two progressives who vocally opposed unconditional U.S. aid to Israel. Also poured more than $1 million into a Democratic primary in Oregon, boosting Representative Maxine E. Dexter in a race against Sushila Jayapal, former county commissioner, sister of Pramila Jayapal of Washington, the former chairwoman of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. When Miss Dexter won, AIPAC crowed about the victory, noting Miss Dexter's, quote, anti-Israel opponent had been endorsed by Senator Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, and by J Street. Cori Bush is fighting for her seat back, though. Well, we'll see. They're currently pouring money into Kat Abu Ghazala's primary race. against her, I assume. Fucking fruit fly. 3 Democratic members of Congress who have previously relied on AIPAC as a top campaign contributor have said over the past few weeks they would no longer accept donations from the group. Morgan McGarvey of Kentucky, Deborah Ross of North Carolina, and Valerie Fushy of North Carolina. Ms. Dexter, who relied on AIPAC's financial support to win her primary last year, recently said the United States, quote, must halt the transfer of offensive weapons to Israel and ensure immediately sufficient and sustained humanitarian aid into Gaza. Ms. Dexter is no longer on AIPAC's list of candidates that has endorsed this cycle. Look, I am glad that AIPAC is becoming a toxic enough brand that even their champions are starting to turn against them, but it's this half-hearted bullshit. Must halt the transfer of offensive weapons. Okay, so you want them to have defensive weapons. Like you're still, the J Street line is still Zionist. Do you believe in the maximalist AIPAC theory as preached by Mearsheimer? Why the fuck do you assume that I know what Mearsheimer is? I think that guy's a moron. I don't know lots of stuff that he believes in. What do you describe the theory? Latest Israel approval polls. This is polling on a lot of stuff, I'm noticing. "56% net disapprove the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Provide additional economic and military support to Israel. Strongly support, somewhat support. Net oppose is higher than net support, but within Democrats, let's see, race, ethnicity, age, party ID. Yeah, within Democrats, net support 19, net oppose 73. In the dispute between Israel and Palestinians, which side do you sympathize with more, Israel or Palestine? Net sympathy with Israel, net sympathy with Palestinians, neck and neck. Actually, God, that's fucking crazy. Neck and neck even for the broader population. That's insane. Unthinkable. For Democrats, 13% net support for Israel, 54% Palestinians. And our elected representatives are still fucking cucking themselves out to AIPAC. Jesus Christ. Basically, the Israeli lobby owns and controls the U.S.? No. That's his theory. I think that's anti-Semitic. The idea that Israel is special in that regard, to me, comes across as conspiratorial. Like, America is the money place. We are the center of power. Whatever power Israel has, it's just an extension of our own. You know, externalized in the global financial market, our ability to invest in and make contracts with other countries and other companies. Yeah, they're a proxy. We exuded evil from ourselves, made a, colony state, and are now trying to deal with them. How is that necessarily anti-Semitic? Because the only way you could believe that Israel actually controls the United States, as in the United States as an entity is subordinate to Israel as an entity, is, for one, it's anti-Marxist. Nations aren't actually the one, like, it's anti-materialistic, for one. Like, the idea that nations are the one, through what corporations? All the corporations are American. But also, the only way you could believe that is if there's a secret Jewish cabal. That's it. That's the only way you could believe that. You would have to believe that, like, somehow there's some innate pervasive characteristic that Jews possess, and they're all on board with it. And it's the only time in history this has ever happened. And they run all the show with the banks and the corporations, so on. Like, you just do the JQ. There's no other way you could explain a country as small as Israel controlling America. And how did it happen? It happened after Israel's founding. So up until what, the end of World War II? And then at what point exactly did they control America? It's just a crazy thing, No cabal, just AIPAC. Yeah, but AIPAC is just a collection of conservative donors. Like AIPAC literally just broadly does conservative lobbying shit, you know? Like so much of what they do in terms of their financing and their funding, it's not even Israel related. They jump in on people's races like nominally for reasons relating to their relationship with Israel, but obviously it's just advancing a certain set of interests. What about Mossad and the notion they've got blackmail material on a ton of US politicians? The notion? What do I do to defeat a notion? Why would you think that? And why would Mossad have that if the CIA doesn't? What is that? What do you mean? First of all, what blackmail could Mossad possibly have on American politicians? Our president is a pedophile. Epstein's best friend. We know it. There's a fuck ton of evidence for it. What blackmail could Mossad possibly have on our politicians? Super pedophilia? Also, Mossad is just like another intelligence agency. They're not magic. We have the CIA. Like, how would, like, are we blackmailing them? Like, of course, there are Mossad agents who run intel operations in America. We do that in Israel. What if they have the evidence the FBI has as well? Why would they have? Why would Mossad have copies of evidence that the FBI got? And also, so what if they did? I just don't understand. Like, this is the weirdo conspiracy anti-Semitism stuff to me. To me, it's pretty obvious. Like, the reason Israel is favored so much by American politicians and corporations is because there has been a concerted effort over the past 50 or so years to concentrate an enormous amount of military, economic, and like surveillance-related tech power in Israel. And you have this like dual interest group, right? Where on one hand, it's the MIC, it's people who just want money and power externalized in another country. And then on the other hand, you have the Rhodesia thing. A lot of the people in Israel are actually insane, racist, Jewish supremacist fascists who want to build greater Israel. But those two groups are not necessarily concurrent. When the CEO of Palantir talks about being an ardent Zionist, do you think that's because he believes in greater Israel, or because Palantir has worked with the IDF to train the IDF like surveillance network, you know? They're only pro-Israeli because Israel is like the hotbed. It's the battleground. It's the Fortnite drop zone where you get to, you know, make use of all this technology in an area where there's essentially like unfettered kill permission on civilians. Yeah, the battle bus. Main conspiracy is the Epstein equals Mossad honeypot operation. Yeah, but that shit's like just dumb and it falls apart if you think about it for any length of time. Mossad, like Epstein wasn't a Mossad agent. Epstein was a financier with ties to American and Israeli and British and French, lots of groups, mostly American and Israel. Like a bunch of financial ties in those countries. He's definitely done work with Mossad the same way he's definitely done work with the feds. Like I just why is Mossad always like the overriding? It's what the Nazis do. Where like a company can be based in America, staff 100,000 like you know Americans, and then like two guys on the operations team are Jewish, and they're like, well, that's a Jewish run company, you know, like. You know, oh yeah, it might seem like their operations are ordinary and above board, but like, yeah, the guy, you know, the CEO actually is Jewish. Okay, like, how does that give him power over everything else? Robert Maxwell's funeral was attended by 6 Israeli heads of state. Yeah, because Robert Maxwell was Mossad, wasn't he? Well, yeah, he was like a very high profile. Yeah, so yeah, I don't. And Mossad agents killed Robert Maxwell. Well, I don't know about that. Don't you get power of the country by controlling many politicians? For one, no, I'm a Marxist. And for two, they don't control our politicians. What do you mean by that? Is thinking he's Mossad anti-Semitic? No? What, wasn't he? Isn't that like well known? His associations with Mossad? I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. Hmm. Yeah, we'll see how things plan out. Killed a knife. America controls Israel is what I'm getting. It's, guys, countries don't control you. Are we not a Marxist channel? Countries don't control countries. Countries are just abstract collections of interest groups that use their material power to try to incentivize other groups to do what they want. A country doesn't control a country. There are levers of power. But America itself is an abstraction. There are elements of America that act directly and indirectly to affect control over Israel. Israel and America are largely the same power groups, the same police. In terms of like operations, like the higher picture thinking here, same police, same military, same surveillance tech, same politicians. They're the same things. It's the same shit. So we can't change one without the other? That's how life is for all things, actually. I think you could reasonably argue that, like, the reason our relationship with Israel ramped up to the insane point that it's at right now is largely because of, like, the Patriot Act and the post-9/11 war on terror environment, which incentivized not only anti-Arab and anti-Muslim action internationally because, you know, war on terror, but also the expansion of the surveillance state. And because we already had a vested military interest in Israel for a wide variety of reasons, you had this like juxtaposition where on one hand, Israel was becoming increasingly difficult to defend, right? With the intifadas and like public attention being drawn to the killing of Palestinians and a more like globalized international media, people learning about more stuff, the internet becoming a thing. So Israel was getting harder to defend. The PR was getting worse. But at the same time, from the other like side, the modern surveillance technology was getting more and more interesting. How many countries are there out there that do you think would allow you to essentially promote the unfettered use of surveillance technology on a captive population that you can do without raising a whole fuck ton of like ethical concerns or PR backlash, right? England, it is true England is extremely surveilled. China surveils itself extensively, but of course China controls its own country. In America, that wasn't really an option. America's too federalized. It's too distributed. How could the federal government partner with a military corporation, you know, an arms dealer or whatever, and start working to build out surveillance tech tried and tested on American civilians that would get the kind of data that we're looking for? It would be really difficult to do and risky and expensive. But the Palestinians were and are a captive population of millions of people. You know, we, and by we, I mean like American-Israeli military corporations, have been testing out like automated turrets that fire when they recognize certain faces. We had those. On the border fence of Gaza, turrets that auto-lock on. Science fiction technology invented and tested and perfected on them. Pretty sure butterfly bullets were first practiced on Palestinians. A lot of shit was first practiced on Palestinians. We've used Israel as like a convenient externalization for a bunch of military and surveillance tech that became much more popular with governments after 9/11. And now we're defending our investment. After all, if Israel goes under, do you have any idea what that would do to the American MIC? I mean, for one, we're talking about an enormous amount of money in contracts and investment just off, like right off the table, right? That's one, okay? That's just one. But for two, we're talking about like a broader game plan here, a plan that involves like widespread surveillance, Palantir control and assimilation using AI to effectively like run law enforcement federally. We're talking about like a very long-term plan, very 1984-esque, right? Very evil, very dystopian, but very real nonetheless. And we know for a fact that it's happening. It's not secret. The partnerships with Palantir and the federal government are not a conspiracy. They're real. You can look up the details of the and the amount offered in the contracting. You know, it's all online, right? If we drop our support for Israel, what exactly happens to all the companies that have been doing that work in Israel? Like, people say, oh, this Israeli company produced spyware. Did they? Sure. And let me ask you, how much American money was involved? Look into it. I bet you almost always you'll find American money was involved. Why, after all, would we even rely on Israel if we weren't using them as a way to turn American money into, you know, defense contracts? It's not just the money that we give them through the government. It's just like our corporations. We're using them to launder that, to distract from the culpability, to bring less attention to it. It makes us look less evil. And it's easier to justify the atrocities of the Israeli government when they're being committed against, you know, Hamas, Arabs, Muslims, whatever, than it would be if we were testing on our own domestic population. We would have lost our shit over this. Are you kidding me? We're in America. Are you going to test auto face targeting turrets? Where are you going to test butterfly bullets? Where are you going to test any of this shit on Americans? Maybe. Good luck with that. It'd be bad PR. They would if they could? Of course they would if they could. I'll do an look. We'll do an example, okay? Is it true that butterfly bullets, by the way, were first tested on Palestinians? Maybe some like modern iteration, because a version of those, like hollow points or whatever, have been around for a long time. Probably, I don't think so. Hold on. Well, Israel does use them against Palestinians, but I don't think it was like made or like invented there or anything, because a version of this has existed for a very long time. Maybe like new iterations, or maybe it's just the fact that they're used there where they're not used elsewhere, you know, because they're banned for use in war. Whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. Hold on one second. Israeli spyware news. New spyware company, or a new Israeli-made spyware. Hold on. ICE obtains access to Israeli-made spyware that can hack phones and encrypted apps. Yes, this is the thing that I'm referring to. Let's find the company. Paragon. Now owned by a U.S. firm. Oh, well, that made it easy. A little bit boring, if anything. Paragon firm. Paragon firm, not real estate. Paragon firm, Paragon Solutions. Israeli spyware company tried to market itself as more responsible than other spyware vendors. Founded by former commander of Unit 8200, Israeli Intelligence Corps. That's the same unit that had that. There was a university student who was from this unit who went there to like a history of indigenous rights class to like surveil people, right, and film them and derail the conversation. That was also 8200, wasn't it? Yes? Wonderful. Founded in 2019. Oh, hello, Ehud Barak. Nice to see you again. A ton of tech companies come from Unit 8200. The point that I'm trying to make here is that all of this is part of the same, like, American money shit cycle that you're familiar with domestically. This is an Israeli spyware company in the sense that it was founded by Israelis in Israel, but it exists as part of a system, an externalization of our interest, which is why apparently this was basically immediately bought by, U.S. cybersecurity firm, AE Industrial Partners, you know? Just, I hate it when people say Israel controls the U.S. How little do you think of the U.S.? It's such a ridiculous, like, oh, once we cut the puppet strings, everything will be different. The puppet strings are our capital, my friend, and we have the capital. We're not under threat by Israel. We're pantomiming disagreements. In reality, like, the reason all these Democrats in Congress and all these Republicans in Congress get along with Israel and go over and fucking kiss the wall and wear the little hat and all that weird, you know, shit they wouldn't do with any other, like, religious group. It has nothing to do with, like, fealty to Israel and everything to do with a symbolic gesture of cooperation with an externalization of American power. And good fucking luck, you know, running the government without the cooperation of the MIC. Jesus Christ. Be like trying to win New York mayorship without the, you know, at least some support from the NYPD times 10. Sorry, I know I've been rambling about this for a while. A lot of people in chat were saying stuff that came across a bit anti-Semitic to me. Not intentionally or whatever. You know, I don't think you were doing it on purpose or whatever, but it's So is there anything that could be done about the MIC if leftists got in power? Yeah, sure. They would just have to get in power first. But, like, yeah, ultimately, as much as the MIC is powerful and as much as they control it, as much money runs through them, as much as they, like, are responsible for so many jobs, you know, at the end of the day, so it's all hopeless. Stop asking fuck-ass questions like that. I'm just saying no. All you do, I'm redirecting. All you do is ask fucking doomer-ass rhetorical questions. Do things get worse if Trump dies? Fucking, so AIPAC money isn't a thing? Don't you get power? Stop asking questions. You're literally JAQing, okay? Stop jacking off in front of me, all right? I'm not into it. You have to get my consent before you can do that, okay? Stop asking questions. I want firm, definitive statements, okay? This is a yes and culture, all right? We're doing improv here. Stop asking questions. Oh, you came in here recently. Maybe I should be nicer. Your first message was a question. They make meat-based Nutella? I take back what I said about being nicer to you. What the hell? You were saying something, finish your sentence. Okay, all I'm saying is that, like, the problem we're dealing with at the end of the day is that powerful people want a surveillance state because they don't think democracy is going to last, and they want to build systems that allow them to control the population even when stuff like widespread climate change, famine, drought, food insecurity, economic instability, and a great economic crash take place. They want to have systems in place that allow them to hold power even with all that bullshit happening. That, and also the Department of Defense, directly and indirectly, is like the world's largest government employer. We're talking millions of jobs that ultimately come down in some way or another to assisting the Department of Defense. So these are the two big hurdles you need to deal with. The wealthy and powerful as a class of people love Palantir. But you have to be very wealthy and powerful. I'm not talking about the bourgeoisie. There are millions of people who, you know, own businesses or are just regular wealthy people. The Palantir shit, that's like the very top of the top. The oligarchs, the people at the very, very, very highest point of the pyramid. Those are the people who like that surveillance tech. And also the intelligence agencies that serve them. And also On the other end of the pyramid, down here at the bottom, we have all the millions of people who benefit from the jobs provided from the defense industry. Those are the two. That's the very, very highest up, and the people who just work the regular fuck-ass jobs relating to these industries, these you know, this whole system. And these are what you'd have to deal with if you wanted to really go after the MIC. Eisenhower warned about this. It's not a conspiracy. You just got to be careful. Well, that only externalizes the problem, Masagu, but, you know. All right. Okay. Fuck, I didn't cover as much shit as I wanted to. I was super distracted today. That's my fault. No, wait. That's your fault. Affirmative thinking. I'll be back here tomorrow, guys. I have to go. Anyone who donated, I will read those donations tomorrow. I apologize, but honestly, you should have expected this. You know, you should have expected this. It happens pretty often. Sort of your fault for not being ready for it, if anything. You covered everything in the title. What a rarity. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Hey, if things go well tomorrow, we can actually play Hades 2. I haven't played it yet. I've kept my word. I haven't touched it. I don't want to play the whole game on stream. I just want to play like first time on stream, you know? First impressions? Okay. Take care. See you soon.